Prologue. Starting the journey with Muqatta'at. Imagine you are a traveler in a vast desert under a sparkling night sky, holding an ancient book whose pages whisper about the secrets of the universe. It is the Quran, and in the first line you find Alif Lam Mim, LM, simple but mysterious letters like stars guiding the way in darkness. These letters, known as Muqatta'at, adorn the beginning of the 29 surahs in the Quran, inviting each reader to embark on an intellectual, spiritual and cosmic journey. They are the gateway to the miracle of divine revelation, an enigma that has captivated the Prophet's companions, classical scholars, Sufi mystics and modern researchers. Muqatta'at, like Kaf, Yasin or Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad, are not just letters, they are symbols of divine design that weave together mathematical structure, linguistic sensitivity and spiritual depth. As highlighted in documents such as Appendix B, The Miracle of Numerology of Muqatta'at, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, and even dash and dash, odd dash, 7 dash and dash, 19 dash, rev dash, 1.25 underscore beta comma Muqatta'at reflects an astonishing symmetry, from the motif of numbers 5 to patterns 7 and 19, that hints at the Quran's accuracy as a document of the design of the universe. Sam Gerrans' textual approach adds another layer, seeing these letters as narrative markers that connect themes such as guidance, grace and resilience. This prologue sets the stage for our journey. Subsequent chapters will explore the structure of Muqatta'at, Chapter 2, Historical and Traditional Interpretations, Chapter 3, Modern Theory, Chapter 4, Spiritual and Practical Implications, Chapter 5, and Future Synthesis and Direction, Chapter 6. Each chapter is a step towards deeper understanding, but like Muqatta'at itself, this journey does not promise definitive answers, but rather an invitation to tadabbur, admiration and closeness to Allah. As stated in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2, Alif Lam Mim. This is the book in which there is no doubt a guide for the righteous. Let us step together with an open heart to reveal the light hidden in these sacred letters. Muqatta'at, mysterious letters in the Quran advance. The Quran, the holy book of Muslims, holds many miracles, one of which is the Muqatta'at, separate letters that appear at the beginning of 29 of its 114 surahs. These letters, such as Alif Lam Mim, LM, or Yasin, YS, have puzzled scholars, theologians and believers for centuries. Although it has been extensively researched, its true meaning remains mysterious, triggering various interpretations ranging from divine codes to unique markers of the Quran. This book aims to provide a complete exploration of Muqatta'at, with an in-depth analysis of its emergence, structure, historical interpretation, and possible numerical meaning. By combining traditional and modern perspectives, we hope to illuminate these enigmatic letters while still respecting the mystery that surrounds them. Whether you are a scholar, a student of the Quran, or just curious, this book will be your guide in understanding the world of Muqatta'at. Chapter 1. What is Muqatta'at? 1.1. Definition and appearance. Muqatta'at, also called Huruf al-Muqatta'at, refers to the separate letters found at the beginning of several surahs in the Quran. These letters are read individually and do not form a recognizable word in Arabic. E.g., Alif Lam Mim LM at the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, Taha, Surah 20, Yasin, Wise, in Surah Yasin, Surah 36. There are a total of 29 surahs beginning with these letters, consisting of 14 unique letters in the Arabic alphabet. Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra, Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad, Ta, Sin, Ha, Kaf, Nun. These letters form 14 different combinations, from one letter to 5 letters. 1.2. Structure and variations. Muqatta'at varies in length and composition. One letter, for example Kaf, Q in Surah Kaf, Surah 50, and Sad, S in Surah Sad, Surah 38. 2 letters like Yasin, Was in Surah Yasin, Surah 36. 3 letters most common, such as Alif Lam Mim, LM in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2. 4 letters, for example Alif Lam Mim Ra, LMR in Surah Ar-Rad, Surah 13. 5 letters, longest Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad KS in Surah Maryam, Surah 19. This combination is not random. They follow a certain pattern and are deliberately placed at the beginning of the surah, often followed by verses that affirm the divine origin of the Quran. 1.3. Historical and academic perspectives. Throughout the history of Islam, scholars have put forward various interpretations. Divine secrets. Many early scholars, such as Ibn Kathir, believed the true meaning of these letters was known only to Allah, as a reminder of the wonders of the Quran. Linguistic challenges. Al-Tabari argues that Muqatta'at was a challenge for the Arabs of the time, suggesting that the basic elements of their language could create something unparalleled. Symbolic meaning. In the Sufi tradition, letters such as Kaf are seen as symbols of divine attributes, such as righteousness or purity. Numerical significance. Modern researchers are exploring numerical patterns, including the frequency of letters and their possible relationship to the mathematical codes in the Quran. Even so, there is no universally accepted interpretation, making Muqatta'at one of the eternal mysteries of the Quran. Chapter 2. The structure of Muqatta'at. 2.1. Unique letters and combinations. Muqatta'at consists of 14 unique letters of the Arabic alphabet, forming 14 different combinations in 29 surahs. The letters are Alif, Lam, El, Mim, M, Ra, R, Kaf, K, Ha, H, Ya, Y, Ain, Sad, S, Ta, T, Sin, S, Ha, H, Qaf, Q, Nun, N. Combinations vary from 1 to 5 letters, with certain patterns repeating, e.g., Alif Lam Mim appears in 6 surahs, 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, 32. Ha Mim appears in 7 consecutive surahs, 40, 46. This repetition suggests a deliberate structure, perhaps connecting surahs thematically or numerically. 2.2. Frequency and distribution. The 29 surahs with Muqatta'at are scattered throughout the Quran, covering the revelations of Makkiyah and Madaniyah. Some observations. Number of appearances. The letter Muqatta'at appears 78 times in 29 surahs. Unique letters. Only 14 of the 28 Arabic letters are used, indicating the selection process. Symmetry. The number 29 is a prime number, symbolizing uniqueness, while a total of 78 letters, 78 equals 6 times 13, may have numerical meaning. 2.3. Numerical patterns. The numerical analysis of Muqatta'at reveals an interesting pattern. Number of letters, 78 letters, with 14 unique letters. Surah number. The number of surah numbers with Muqatta'at is 1,218, which some researchers associate with multiples of 19, an important number in Quranic numerology. Letter frequency. Letters such as Alif and Lam appear frequently, while Qaf and Nun are less frequent, perhaps reflecting their symbolic weight. This pattern shows that Muqatta'at is not a coincidence, but part of a larger divine design. Chapter 3. Tafsir Muqatta'at. 3.1. Traditional Islamic views. Traditional interpretations offer several interpretations. Ibn Kathir. Muqatta'at includes mutashabihat, a verse whose meaning is known only to Allah, reminiscent of the miracles of the Quran. Al-Tabari. These letters are a challenge for the Arabs, proving the eloquence of the Quran beyond human ability. Al-Razi. Muqatta'at may represent the name or nature of Allah, even though the meaning is hidden. This view emphasizes the divine mystery and unparalleled qualities of the Quran. 3.2. Sufi and mystical interpretations. In the Sufi tradition, Muqatta'at is seen as a symbol of spiritual truth. Kaf, often associated with the mountain of Kaf, a symbol of divine presence or the boundary between the real and the supernatural. Nun, connected with divine ink or pen, symbolizing knowledge and creation. Ya Sin, sometimes interpreted as a call to the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, with Ya meaning Wahai and Sin representing his name or nature. This interpretation focuses on the esoteric and symbolic dimensions of the letters. 3.3. Modern numerical theory. Recently, researchers have been exploring the numerical pattern of Muqatta'at. Rashad Khalifa proposes that Muqatta'at is part of a mathematical code based on the number 19, although his approach is controversial. Mustafa Kudoglu. In his work on odd-even symmetry and the numbers 7 and 19, he suggests that Muqatta'at is integral in the numerical structure of the Quran, supporting its authenticity and preservation. Alphabetical values. Some researchers calculate the numerical value of letters using the alphabetic system. For example, Alif equals sign 1, Lam equals sign 30, Mim equals sign 40, looking for patterns or relationships with the theme of the surah. While interesting, these theories remain speculative and not universally accepted. Chapter 4. Case studies of specific Muqatta'at 4.1 Alif Lam Mim LM. Appearance Surah 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, 32. Theme. These surahs often emphasize the guidance, revelation and oneness of Allah. Numerical analysis. The sum of surah numbers is 2 plus 3 plus 29 plus 30 plus 31 plus 32 equals 127, which some associate with multiples of 19, although not exactly. Interpretation. Traditionally seen as a reminder of the divine source of the Quran, it may represent Allah, the Book and the Messenger. 4.2 Hamim. Appearance Surah 40-46. Theme. Focus on God's mercy, justice, and the consequences of unbelief. Numerical analysis. The sequence of 7 surahs in sequence shows a pattern, with 7 being an important number in the Islamic tradition. Interpretation. Some scholars suggest that Hamim symbolizes mercy, Rahman, and Allah's protection. 4.3 Kaf Haya Ain Saad Kais. Appearance Surah Maryam, Surah 19. Theme. Tells the story of prophets such as Zechariah, Maryam, and Isa, AS, emphasizing divine grace and miracles. Numerical analysis. These 5 letters may correspond to the 5 prophets mentioned or have other symbolic meanings. Interpretation. In the Sufi tradition, these letters are associated with God's attributes, such as knowledge, Ain, and power, Sad. Chapter 5. Numerical significance and patterns. 5.1. Number 19 and Muqatta'at. The number 19 has come under scrutiny in the numerical study of the Quran, with some researchers suggesting Muqatta'at is part of this number-based code. Example, there are 29 surahs with Muqatta'at, and 29 is a prime number, although it is not directly related to 19. The total number of letters of Muqatta'at, 78, is not a multiple of 19, but some argue that a subset of letters or the value of the alphabet is in harmony with 19. However, this claim is disputed, and many scholars warn against over-interpreting numerical patterns. 5.2 Odd and even symmetry. Mustafa Kudoglu explores the odd-even symmetry in the Quran, linking it to Muqatta'at. He notes, the 114 surahs are divided into 60 surahs, with an even number of verses and 54 with odd verses, creating a symmetrical structure. This symmetry remains intact, including all the verses, even the last 2 verses of Surah At-Tawbah, that are disputed. Kudoglu argues that this symmetry favors the preservation of Quranic texts, including Muqatta'at. 5.3 Duo System 7 and 19 Kudoglu proposed the Duo 7 and 19 numerical coding system, which combines the numbers 7 and 19 to reveal patterns in the structure of the Quran. Although not directly related to Muqatta'at, this system highlights the mathematical complexity of the Quran, showing Muqatta'at as part of a divine design. Chapter 6. Preservation of the Quran and Muqatta'at. 6.1 Historical evidence. Muqatta'at is in the oldest Quranic manuscripts, such as the Sana'a manuscript, which dates back 27 years after the Prophet's death. This supports the view that these letters are original parts of the Quranic text, not later additions. 6.2 Thematic and structural integrity. Muqatta'at is often followed by verses that affirm the divine origin of the Quran, such as Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2, Alif Lam Mim. This is the book in which there is no doubt a guide for the righteous. Surah Yasin 36:1-2, Yasin, for the sake of the Quran, full of wisdom. This placement shows Muqatta'at as a marker of the miracle of the Quran, reinforcing its preservation and authenticity. 6.3 Numerical systems and preservation. Numerical patterns, such as those involving 7 and 19, are seen by some as a divine checksum that confirms the text of the Quran has not been altered. Muqatta'at, as part of this pattern, plays a role in this numerical integrity. Chapter 7. Conclusion. Muqatta'at remains one of the deepest mysteries of the Quran, inviting believers and scholars to reflect on the divine wisdom in this text. While their exact meaning may never be fully understood, these letters remind us of the Quran's miraculous nature, its preservation, and its unparalleled structure. Through a combination of traditional interpretation, numerical analysis, and thematic exploration, the book seeks to provide a thorough understanding of Muqatta'at, offering insight into the layers of meaning in the Quran. Appendix: List of surah with Muqatta'at. The following is a complete list of 29 surahs that begin with Muqatta'at, along with their letter combinations. 1. Surah 2, Al-Baqarah. Alif Lam Mim Al-Lam 2. Surah 3, Ali Imran. Alif Lam Mim Al-Lam 3. Surah 7, Al-Araf. Alif Lam Mim Sad LMS 4. Surah 10, Yunus. Alif Lam La LR 5. Surah 11, Hud. Alif Lam La LR 6. Surah 12, Yusuf. Alif Lam La LR 7. Surah 13, Ar-Ra'd. Alif Lam Mim La Lem R 8. Surah 14, Ibrahim. Alif Lam La LR 9. Surah 15, Al-Hijr. Alif Lam La LR 10. Surah 19, Maryam. Kaf Haya Ain Saad Keys 11. Surah 20, Taha 12. Surah 26, Ash-Shu'ara. Tasin Mim 7. 13. Surah 27, Imran. Tasin Tees 14. Surah 28, Al-Qasas. Tasin Yunus 15. Surah 24, Al-Ankabut. Alif Lam Mim 16. Surah 30, Maryam. Alif Lam Mim Alam 17. Surah 31, Luqman. Alif Lam Mim Alam 18. Surah 32, As Sajda. Alif Lam Mim LM 19. Surah 36, Yasin. Yasin was 20. Surah 38, Sad. Sad S21. Surah 40, Ghafir. Hamim Hum 22. Surah 41, Fasilat. Hamim Hum 23. Surah 42, Ash-Shura. Hamim Ain Sin Kaf Hum Askew 24. Surah 43, Az-Zukhruf. Hamim Hum 25. Surah 44, Ad-Dukhan. Hamim Hum 26. Surah 45, Al-Jathiyah. Hamim Hum 27. Surah 46, Al-Ahqaf. Hamim Hum 28. Surah 50, Kaf Q 29. Surah 68, Al-Qalam. Nun N. References and further reading: Ibn Kathir, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Tafsir al-Quran. Al-Tabari, Jami al-Bayan. Fi Tawil al-Quran, Comprehensive Interpretation of the Quran. Al-Razi Mafati al-Ghaib, The Key to the Unseen. Rashad Khalifa, The Computer Speaks, God's Message to the World on Numerical Patterns. Mustafa Kurdoglu, Even and Odd, Numerical Symmetry in the Quran on Numerical Coding Systems. Sam Gerrans, The Mysterious Letters of the Quran, A Complete Solution on Textual Analysis. This book is a complete and self-contained guide to Muqatta'at, providing a thorough understanding of its structure, interpretation, and significance in the Quran. Written to be accessible to scholars and general readers alike, this book combines historical insights with modern analysis to explore one of the most mysterious features in the Quran. Advance. Imagine opening a scripture and discovering a series of mysterious letters that stand alone with no immediate meaning but feel full of deep secrets. These letters, known as Muqatta'at, adorn the beginning of 29 of the 114 surahs in the Quran, inviting curiosity and admiration for more than 1,000 years. Are they the key to understanding the hidden layers of divine revelation? Or are they a reminder of the limitations of human understanding in the face of God's majesty? In this book, we will dive into the world of Muqatta'at with great precision, exploring every aspect of it, from its structure to its potential meaning, in the hope of approaching the hidden truth. What is Muqatta'at? Muqatta'at, or separate letters, is a combination of Arabic letters that appear at the beginning of several surahs in the Quran. These letters, such as Alif Lam Mim, Lam Taha Ti, or Kaf Haya Ain Saad, Kai S, are read separately and do not form intelligible words in everyday Arabic. They appear in 14 different combinations and are found only in certain Makkiyah or Madaniya surahs, adding a layer of mystery to their existence. As a concrete example, Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1, Alif Lam Mim LM. Surah Maryam 19:1, Kaf Haya Ain Saad Keys. Surah Ash-Shura 42:1-2, Hamim, followed by Ain Sin Kaf Askew. These letters are always followed by verses that affirm the majesty of the Quran, its guidance, or the miracle of Allah's creation, showing that Muqatta'at is not a random element, but an integral part of the structure of revelation. The enduring mystery. The meaning of Muqatta'at has been the subject of debate since the time of the Prophet, PBUH. Classical scholars and modern scholars have not yet reached agreement on the exact purpose of these letters. Some see it as a divine secret, known only to Allah, while others try to decipher its meaning through a variety of approaches, linguistic, numerical, or symbolic. For example, in Surah Kaf 15:1, the letter Kaf stands alone, followed by Kaf by the glorious Quran. Does Kaf refer to a mythical mountain in the Islamic tradition, a symbol of the power of Allah's creation, or something more abstract? This uncertainty actually strengthens the appeal of Muqatta'at as an entrance to spiritual and intellectual reflection. Historical context and early debate. Since the revelation of the Quran, Muqatta'at has sparked discussions among the companions and tabi'in. Ibn Mas'ud, a companion of the Prophet, reportedly referred to these letters as the beauty of the Quran, while Ibn Abbas speculated that they may have abbreviated for the name or nature of Allah. Great scholars such as Al-Tabari considered Muqatta'at a challenge to the Arabs, who were famous for their fluency in the language, suggesting that even their basic letters could be the basis of unparalleled divine miracles. On the contrary, Ibn Kathir in his commentary affirms that the meaning of Muqatta'at is the secret of Allah, and man can only contemplate it without claiming full understanding. These differences of view reflect the diversity of approaches to understanding sacred texts. Significance in the structure of the Quran. Muqatta'at does not appear randomly. Of the 114 surahs, only 29 begin with these letters, and the pattern of their appearance is eye-catching. E.g., the 7 consecutive surahs, Surah 40, 46, begin with the Ha-Mim, known as the Hawamim group. Surah As-Sajdah 32:1 and Fussilat 41:1 share Alif, Lam, Mim and Ha-Mim, but have different themes. This structure begs the question, does Muqatta'at serve as a thematic marker, numerical code, or reminder of the uniqueness of the Quran? This book will explore all of these possibilities. The purpose and approach of this book. This book aims to provide a comprehensive view of Muqatta'at by integrating traditional and modern approaches. We will analyze the structure and variations of Muqatta'at throughout the Quran, tracing historical interpretations from classical scholars to contemporary theories. Dive into the possibilities of symbolic, linguistic, and numerical meanings. Presents a detailed case study to connect Muqatta'at with the context of the surah. This approach does not aim to solve the mystery of Muqatta'at, but rather to enrich our understanding while respecting the limits of human knowledge. Book structure. The book is organized in the following chapters. 1. Definition and appearance. What is Muqatta'at and where do they appear? 2. Structure analysis. Variations of letters, combinations and patterns. 3. Historical interpretation, the views of early scholars and the Sufi tradition. 4. Modern theory, contemporary numerical and linguistic approaches. 5. Case study, in-depth analysis of Alif, Lam, Mim, Ha, Mim and others. 6. Numerical significance, an exploration of patterns such as the number 19 or symmetry. 7. Conclusion, reflection and call for further research. Scenarios and case studies. Scenario 1. Hidden key. Think of Muqatta'at as a key that locks the door to deep meaning. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Alif Lam Mim may indicate that the Quran is a book of guidance that can only be fully understood by an open heart. This case study will examine the relationship between letters and the theme of instruction and law in Surah. Scenario 2. Challenges to humans in Surah Ash-Shura 42:1, 2. Ha, Mim and Ain Sin Kaf appear together. Is it a challenge for humans to create something similar? We will compare this surah with other Hawamim surahs. Case study, Surah Yasin 36:1, followed by For the Sake of the Quran Full of Wisdom. We will analyze whether this letter is related to the dominant theme of awakening and natural wonders in the surah. Examples and verses of the Quran. Here is an additional example. Surah Taha 20:1-2. Taha. We did not send down the Quran to you so that you would be troubled. Surah As-Sajdah 32:1-2. Alif Lam Mim. The revelation of this book, there is no doubt in it, from the Lord of the whole world. Surah Sad 38:1. Sad, for the sake of the Quran that contains warnings. Each example shows how Muqatta'at is linked to divine affirmation, reinforcing the hypothesis that they have a structural and spiritual role. Additional description. Linguistic aspects. These letters are the basic elements of Arabic. Al-Tabari's theory shows that Allah uses human tools to create something that cannot be replicated, confirming the miracle of the Quran. Numerical patterns. Some modern researchers calculate the frequency of letters in Muqatta'at and find a correlation with the number 19 or a certain symmetry. For example, the total number of unique letters in Muqatta'at is 14, half of the number of Hijaya letters, 28. Spiritual dimension. In the Sufi tradition, the Kaf in Surah Kaf is associated with the mountain of Kaf, a symbol of the immortality and power of Allah. This book will explore this kind of interpretation in depth. Invitation to readers. To scholars, students, and general readers, this book is an invitation to dive into the mysteries of Muqatta'at. By exploring its history, structure, and potential meaning, we will deepen our admiration for the Quran, a text that continues to inspire and challenge human thought. Let's start this journey together, with an open heart and a clear mind. Chapter 1. What is Muqatta'at? Muqatta'at, or separate letters, is one of the most enigmatic elements in the Quran, the holy book of Muslims. Imagine that you open the first page of the Quran and find a series of letters like Alif Lam Mim, Lem, or Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad Kai Es, standing alone, not forming a recognizable word, but full of an aura of mystery and majesty. These letters, which appear at the beginning of 29 of the 114 surahs, have captivated the attention of scholars and believers for more than 14 centuries. Are they divine codes, a spiritual symbol, or an intellectual challenge from God to man? This chapter aims to explain Muqatta'at comprehensively, with maximum clarity through definition, context, structure, significance, and in-depth analysis, accompanied by unique scenarios, case studies, examples, verses, and rich subsections. 1.1. Definition of Muqatta'at. Muqatta'at refers to the combination of Arabic letters that appear at the beginning of several surahs in the Quran, read separately without forming a meaningful word in everyday Arabic. The term Muqatta'at is derived from the Arabic root qata'a, to cut or separate, reflecting the nature of these letters that are separate from the conventional word structure. They are an integral part of the text of the Quran, as evidenced by the oldest manuscripts, such as the Sana'a Mushaf, and are always followed by verses that affirm the majesty, authenticity, or guidance of the Quran. Examples of Muqatta'at include Alif Lam Mim, Lm, in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1, Taha, Thi in Surah Taha 21, Qaf Q in Surah Qaf 51. In total, there are 29 surahs beginning with Muqatta'at, using 14 unique letters from the Arabic alphabet: Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra, Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad, Ta, Sin, Ha, Kaf, Nun. These letters form 14 different combinations, ranging from 1 to 5 letters. Unique scenario: letters as divine gates. Imagine Muqatta'at as a gateway to the deep meaning of the Quran. When a reciter recites Alif Lam Mim at the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, it is like knocking on the door of revelation, where the next verse, 2:2, states, "This is the book in which there is no doubt, a guide for the righteous." These letters may serve as spiritual invitations to meditate on the wonders of the Quran before entering its contents. 1.2. Context of the emergence of Muqatta'at. Muqatta'at appears only at the beginning of the surah, just after the surah number and before the main text, except in 2 cases: Surah Ash-Shura, which has 2 sets of Muqatta'at. They are found in 29 surahs, most of which are Makkiyah revelations, 26 surahs, and 3 Madaniyah surahs, Surah 2, 3, and 13. These occurrences are not random. They are often followed by verses that affirm the divine nature of the Quran, such as Surah As-Sajda 32:1-2, Alif Lam Mim. The revelation of this book, there is no doubt in it from the Lord of the worlds. Surah Yasin 36:1-2, Yasin, by the Quran full of wisdom. Surah Sad 38:1, Sad, for the sake of the Quran that contains warnings. Case study. Surah Kaf 50. Surah Kaf begins with the singular letter Kaf Q, followed by the verse, for the sake of the glorious Quran. This surah focuses on the themes of resurrection, God's creation, and human accountability. Does Kaf have a thematic relationship with the content of the surah? In the Sufi tradition, Kaf is associated with the mountain Kaf, a symbol of the boundary between the physical and supernatural worlds, which is in harmony with the theme of the surah about the transition from earthly life to the afterlife. Unique scenario, a challenge to Arab poets. Imagine the time when the Quran came down in Mecca, when poetry and Arabic fluency were highly valued. Muqatta'at such as Alif Lam Mim could be a direct challenge to the Arab poet. Use your own basic letters to create something like the Quran. Their failure to answer this challenge, as stated in Surah Al-Isra 1788, confirms the miracle of the Quran. 1.3 Structure and variations of Muqatta'at. Muqatta'at varies in the number of letters, from 1 to 5, creating an interesting pattern. One letter, Qaf Q in Surah Kaf 50, Sad S in Surah Sad 38, Nun N in Surah Al-Qalam 68. Two letters, Taha Th in Surah Taha 20, Yasin Ys in Surah Yasin 36, Tasin Ts in Surah An-Naml 27. Three letters, most common, such as Alif Lam Mim LM in 6 surahs 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, 32, Tasin Mim Term in Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26 and Al-Qasas 28. Four letters, Alif Lam Mim Ra LMR in Surah Arad 13, Alif Lam Mim Sad LMS in Surah Al-Araf 7. Five letters, Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad Kais in Surah Maryam 19, Hamim Ain Sin Kaf Q in Surah Ash-Shura 42. Additional examples, Surah Al-Araf 7:1, Alif Lam Mim Sad LMS, followed by, the book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it. 7:2. Surah Ash-Shu'ara 26:1-2. Tasin Mim, these are the clear verses of the book. Surah Al-Qalam 68:1-2. None, by the pen and what they write you are not crazy because of the favor of your Lord. Description, patterns and variation. The variation in the number of letters indicates a deliberate structure. For example, 7 consecutive surahs, Surah 40-46, begin with Hamim, known as the Hawamim group. This pattern raises speculation. Do these letters connect the surahs thematically, such as focusing on Allah's mercy and justice? Or do they have a numerical meaning, given that the number 7 is a symbol of perfection in Islam? 1.4 Unique letters and significance. Muqatta'at uses only 14 of the 28 letters of the Arabic alphabet. Alif, Lam, L, Mim, M, Ra, R, Kaf, K, Ha, H, Ya, Y, Ain, Sad, S, Ta, T, Sin, S, Ha, H, Kaf, Q, Nun, N. The selection of these 14 letters is interesting because the number is half of the total Hijaya letters, reflecting symmetry. The frequency of letter occurrence also varies. Alif and Lam appear most often, 12 times each. Kaf and Nun only appear once, adding to the impression of exclusivity. Case study. The letter Nun in Surah Al-Qalam 68 begins with Nun, A-N, followed by, for the sake of the pen and what they write. In the Islamic tradition, Nun is associated with the divine pen or ink, a symbol of knowledge and creation. This verse reinforces Nun's relationship with the themes of literacy and revelation, which are dominant in this surah. Unique scenario, letters as cosmic symbols. Imagine Muqatta'at as a representation of the cosmic element. Nun can symbolize the divine fluid that flows through the pen of creation, as Surah Al-Qalam mentions the pen. Similarly, Kaf may represent Mount Kaf, the center of the universe in Islamic mythology, reflecting the power of Allah's creation. 1.5 Historical context and initial reaction. When the Quran was revealed, Muqatta'at immediately attracted the attention of its listeners. The Arabs, famous for their love of poetry and rhetoric, were fascinated by these letters. According to the narration, companions such as Ibn Abbas speculated that Muqatta'at may stand for the nature of Allah, for example, Alif Lam Mim as Allah, Latif Majid. However, scholars such as Ibn Mas'ud were more cautious, calling it the secret of the Quran that embellished the text. Examples from Tradition Al-Tabari in his commentary notes that Muqatta'at can be a challenge to the Arabs to create something similar, as stated in Surah Al-Isra 1788. Say, if man and jinn come together to make something similar to this Quran, they will not be able to make anything like it, even if they help each other. Description: initial listener's reaction. For the early listener, Muqatta'at is not only a linguistic puzzle, but also a spiritual experience. Imagine a Bedouin in Mecca hearing Yasin for the first time. These letters may feel like a direct call from heaven, preparing the heart to receive the next revelation. 1.6. Thematic and structural significance. Muqatta'at is often associated with the main theme of the surahs in which they appear, e.g., Surah Al-Baqarah 2, with Alif Lam Mim, focuses on guidance and law. Surah Maryam 19, with Kaf Ha Ya. Ain Sad narrates the miracles of the prophets, emphasizing the mercy of Allah. Surah Ash-Shura 42, with Hamim Ain Sin Kaf, discusses justice and revelation. Case study, the Hawamim group, Surah 40-46. 7 consecutive surahs, Kathir, Fusilat, Ash-Shura, Az-Zukhruf, Ad-Dukhan, Al-Jathiyah, Al-Ahqaf, begin with Hamim. These surahs emphasize Allah's mercy, punishment for disbelievers, and calls to faith. Does Hamim serve as a thematic marker to unify these surahs? Or does the number 7, the number of surahs, have a numerical meaning? Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a marker of revelation. Think of Muqatta'at as a divine stamp, signifying that the next text is a direct revelation from Allah. In Surah Fusilat 41:1-2, Hamim is followed by, the book was sent down from the most merciful and most merciful God. These letters may function like divine signatures, confirming the authority of revelation. 1.7. Numerical and mathematical perspectives. Modern researchers such as Rashad Khalifa and Mustafa Kodoglu have explored Muqatta'at as part of the numerical code of the Quran. Some observations: the total number of surahs with Muqatta'at is 29, a prime number symbolizing uniqueness. The total number of letters in Muqatta'at is 78, which can be factored as 6x13, indicating symmetry. The number of surah numbers with Muqatta'at 2 plus 3 plus 7 plus 68 equals sign 1218 is claimed by some researchers to be in harmony with multiples of 19, although this is controversial. Example: Alif Lam Mim analysis. Alif Lam Mim appears in 6 surahs, 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, 32. If we calculate the values of the alphabet, Alif equals sign 1, Lam equals sign 30, Mim equals sign 40, the total is 1 plus 30 plus 40 equals 71. Some researchers have tried to link this number to patterns in surahs, although the results are speculative. Description: symmetry and number 19. Kodoglu in his study highlights the odd-even symmetry in the Quran, noting that 114 surahs are divided into 60 surahs with even verses and 54 with odd verses. Muqatta'at may have played a role in this symmetry, with the 29 surahs reflecting a unique subset of the overall structure of the Quran. 1.8. Spiritual and symbolic dimensions. In the Sufi tradition, Muqatta'at is seen as a spiritual symbol. Alif symbolizes the oneness of Allah as the first and simplest letter. Kaf, associated with the mountain Kaf, a symbol of the cosmic boundary. Nun symbolizes the divine pen or the ink of creation. Case study: Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad in Surah Maryam. These letters may represent the 5 prophets mentioned in the surah: Zechariah, Yahya, Maryam, Isa, Abraham, or attributes of Allah such as knowledge, Ain, and power, Sad. This surah is full of stories of grace, and its Muqatta'at reinforces the theme. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as meditation. Imagine a Sufi contemplating Yasin as a call to the Prophet Muhammad P.B. Och. These letters can be the focus of meditation, bringing the soul closer to divine truth through repetition and reflection. 1.9 Contemporary relevance. In the modern era, Muqatta'at remains relevant as a subject of academic and spiritual research. They inspire discussions about the miracle of the Quran, as proof of man's inability to match the Quran, Surah Al-Isra 1788. Preservation of the text. The existence of the Muqatta'at in the oldest manuscripts proves that the text of the Quran has not changed. Numerical exploration. The study of the numbers 7, 19 or symmetry adds a new dimension to the study of the Quran. Example, Surah Taha 20 Taha is followed by, "We did not send down the Quran to you so that you would be troubled." This surah tells the story of the Prophet Moses, and its letters may symbolize Allah's gentle call to his servants. A 1.10. Chapter conclusion. Muqatta'at is a mysterious gem in the Quran, inviting us to contemplate the miracle of divine revelation. Through an analysis of its structure, historical context, thematic significance, and numerical potential, this chapter has provided a complete overview of what Muqatta'at is. With unique scenarios, case studies, and verse examples, we've explored the different dimensions of these letters, from linguistic challenges to spiritual symbols. The following chapters will deepen this exploration, uncovering more layers of meaning in Muqatta'at and their role in the wonders of the Quran. Chapter 2. The structure of Muqatta'at. The Muqatta'at, the separate letters that adorn the beginning of the 29 surahs in the Quran, is one of the most interesting and mysterious features of this holy book. Imagine you're an explorer who discovers an ancient map with strange symbols that hint at hidden treasures. Muqatta'at are these symbols, letters such as Alif, Lam, Mim, Elem, Kaf for Q, or Kaf Ha Ya Ayin Sad Kais, that stand alone, do not form words but feel loaded with divine meaning. This chapter delves deep into the structure of Muqatta'at, explaining the structure, variations, numerical patterns, and significance in the Quran. With unique scenarios, case studies, verse examples, and detailed explanations, this chapter aims to provide maximum clarity, integrating insights from documents such as Appendix B, The Miracle of Muqatta'at Numerology, 114 Amazing Numbers, What is Muqatta, and even -odd-7-1 9-rev-1.25_beta, as well as Sam Geren's textual approach. 2.1 Definition and structural characteristics. Muqatta'at are Arabic letters that appear at the beginning of the 29 surahs of the Quran, read separately without forming a recognizable word. They are made up of 14 unique letters: Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra, Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad, Ta, Sin, Ha, Kaf, Nun, that make up 14 different combinations for a total of 78 individual letters. These letters are always placed in the first verse of the surah, except in certain cases such as Surah Ash-Shura, which has 2 sets of Muqatta'at, often followed by a verse that affirms the majesty of the Quran. Key features: combination variations. Muqatta'at combinations vary from 1 to 5 letters. A 1-letter Kaf, Surah 50, Sad, Surah 38, Nun, Surah 68. O 2 letters, Taha, Surah 20, Yasin, Surah 36. O 3 letters, Alif Lam Mim, Surah 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, 32. O 4 letters, Alif Lam Mim Sad, Surah 7, Alif Lam Mim Ra, Surah 13. O 5 letters, Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad, Surah 19, Hamim Ain Sin Kaf, Surah 42. Repetition. Several repeated combinations, such as Hamim in 7 consecutive surahs, Surah 40-46, known as the Hawamim group. Uniqueness of letters. Only 14 of the 28 Hijaya letters are used, indicating deliberate selection. Context of revelation. Muqatta'at appears in 26 Makkiyah surahs and 3 Madaniyah surahs, Surah 2, 3, 13, reflecting diversity yet uniformity. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a divine code. Think of Muqatta'at as a secret code in an ancient manuscript. When you read Alif Lam Mim in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1, it feels like finding the key to open the treasure chest. The next verse, 2:2, states, "This is the book in which there is no doubt, a guide for the righteous." Are these letters a signal to prepare your heart for divine revelation? This scenario invites us to see Muqatta'at as a spiritual introduction that opens the door to understanding. Example sentences: Surah Al-Araf 7, 1, 2. Alif Lam Mim Sad. The book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it. Surah Taha 20, 1, 2. Taha. We did not send down the Quran to you so that you would be troubled. Surah Kaf 51. Kaf, by the glorious Quran. 2.2 Unique letters and combinations. Muqatta'at uses 14 unique letters of the Arabic alphabet, which make up 14 different combinations. This selection of letters is not random. Only half of the 28 Hijaya letters are used, creating an interesting symmetry. These letters are Alif, Lam, L, Mim, M, Ra, R, Kaf, K, Ha, H, Ya, Y, Ain, Sad, S, Ta, T, Sin, S, Ha, H, Kaf, Q, Nun, N. Letter frequency, most frequent, Alif and Lam, 12 times each, Mim, 10 times, rare, Qaf, 2 times, Surah 4250, Nun, 1 time, Surah 68. Exclusive, Sad appears in 3 surahs, 7, 19, 38, but only once as a single letter, Surah 38. Case study, Qaf letters. The letter Qaf appears in Surah Kaf 51, and as part of Ha Mim Ain Sin Kaf in Surah Ash-Shura 42:1-2. In Appendix B, the number of Surah Kaf numbers, 42 plus 50 equals 92, is associated with the number of Muqatta'at letters, 78, plus unique letters, 14, resulting in a symbolic pattern of 92 equals sign 29, the number of Muqatta'at surahs. Surah Kaf focuses on the resurrection and divine truth, and Qaf may symbolize the sole truth of Allah in harmony with the theme of the surah. Unique scenario. Letters as cosmic symbols. Think of Qaf as a representation of Mount Qaf in Islamic mythology, the center of the universe that marks the boundary between the physical and supernatural worlds. When you read Qaf in Surah 50, it feels like standing on the top of this mountain, facing the truth of the hereafter. This scenario invites us to see Muqatta'at as a cosmic symbol that connects the text of the Quran with Allah's creation. Example sentences. Surah Ash-Shura 42:1-3. Ha Mim, Ain Sin Kaf. Thus is Allah the Mighty, the Wise, revealing to you and to those before you. Surah Al-Kalam 68:1-2. None. By the pen and what they write, you are not crazy because of the favor of your Lord. 2.3. Distribution and placement. Muqatta'at appears in 29 surahs, which are prime numbers, symbolizing uniqueness. These surahs are scattered throughout the Quran, including the revelations of Makkiyah, 26 surahs, and Madaniyah, 3 surahs, 2, 3, 13. The placement of Muqatta'at is always at the beginning of the surah, often as the first verse, and followed by a verse that affirms the divine nature of the Quran. Placement patterns. Recurring group. Ha Mim appears in 7 consecutive surahs, Surah 40-46, reflecting the significant number 7 in Islam, for example, the 7 heavens. Thematic group. Alif Lam Mim appears in 6 surahs, 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, 32, which often discuss the guidance and oneness of Allah. Exception. Surah Ash-Shura 42 has 2 sets of Muqatta'at, Ha Mim and Ain Sin Kaf, showing a unique structure. Case study. The Hawamim group, Surah 40-46. The 7 Hawamim surahs, Kathir, Fusilat, Ash-Shura, Az-Zukhruf, Ad-Dukhan, Al-Jathiyah, Al-Ahqaf, begin with Hamim. In the 114 amazing numbers, the number 7 is associated with prime numbers and perfection, like the 7 verses of Al-Fatiha. These surahs emphasize Allah's mercy, justice, and warning. Does Hamim serve as a thematic marker to unify these surahs? Or does the number 7 have a numerical meaning as highlighted in even and odd 7 and 19? Unique scenario. Muqatta'at as a thematic marker. Think of Hamim as a divine seal that holds together 7 surahs like chapters in a holy book. When you read the Ha Mim in Surah Kathir 41:2, followed by the book sent down from Allah the Mighty and the All-Knowing, it feels like entering the space of divine grace. This scenario invites us to see Muqatta'at as a thematic marker that directs the reader to the spiritual focus of the surah. Example sentences. Surah Kathir 41:2. Ha Mim. This book has been sent down from Allah the Almighty, the All-Knowing. Surah Fusilat 41:1-2. Ha Mim. The book that was sent down from God the Most Merciful and the Most Merciful. 2.4 Numerology patterns. Muqatta'at shows an interesting numerical pattern, as described in Appendix B and 114 amazing numbers. This pattern reflects the mathematical precision of the Quran and supports the idea that Muqatta'at is part of the divine design. Main pattern 29 surah. The number of surahs with Muqatta'at is a prime number symbolizing uniqueness. 78 letters. The total number of individual letters in Muqatta'at is 78, which can be factored as 6x13. 92 equals sign 29. Symbolic symmetry in Appendix B. The sum of the surah numbers with Qaf, 42 plus 50 equals 92, is equal to the number of letters, 78, plus the unique letters, 14. Although 92, 29 are mathematically speaking, this is considered to be definite logic without mathematical limits, reflecting unity. Motive number 5, a combination of 5 letters, Kaf Haya, Ain Sad, Surah 19. The number of occurrences of Sad, 3, and Qaf, 2, equal sign 5. Remaining division, 92, 29 equal sign, remaining 5. Alphabetical value difference, Qaf, 200, Kaf Haya Ain Sad, 20 plus 5 plus 10 plus 70 plus 90 equals 195, equal sign 5. The number 5 symbolizes perfection, like the 5 pillars of Islam. Numerology reduction, 092, 9 plus 2 equals 11, 1 plus 1 equals 2, 029, 2 plus 9 equals 11, 1 plus 1 equals 2. The number 2 symbolizes duality, Makkiyah versus Madaniyah, the world versus the hereafter. Integration with even and odd 7 and 19. In even and odd 7 and 19, Mustafa Kudoglu highlights the odd-even symmetry and the numbers 7 and 19. Muqatta'at may be related to this system. Number 7. The 7 Hawamim surahs reflect the number 7, which also appears in the duo system 7 and 19. For example, 114 surahs equal sign 6x19 and pattern 7 in the repetition of the word Allah. Symmetry, the Quran has 60 surahs with even verses and 54 with odd verses, and the Muqatta'at, 29 surahs, may be a symmetrical subset of the structure. Case study. Surah Maryam and number 5. Surah Maryam, 19:1, begins with Kaf Haya Ain Sad, 5 letters, which in Appendix B is associated with motif number 5. This surah tells the story of 5 main figures, Zachariah, Yahya, Maryam, Isa, Abraham, and the number the 5th of May symbolize holiness or divine grace. The next verse, 19:2, reads, "This is an explanation of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zachariah." Do these 5 letters reflect the 5 stories of grace in the surah? Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as the DNA of the Quran. Think of Muqatta'at as the genetic code of the Quran, where each letter is a nucleotide that makes up the overall structure of the Holy Book. In 114 amazing numbers, the Quran is described as a document of the design of the universe, with prime numbers such as 619, the value of the alphabet of the Shahada. The Kaf Haya Ain Sad in Surah Maryam could be like a DNA sequence encoding the theme of grace, connecting the text with cosmic creation. 2.5 relationship with Basmala document Appendix B, and the previous context mentioned the pattern of Muqatta'at, 237, and Basmala, 729, although it is not explicitly explained. Basmala, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, appears at the beginning of 113 surahs, except Surah At-Tawbah, and has 19 letters, with a total alphabetic value of 786. Muqatta'at and Basmala may complement each other in the structure of the Quran. Pattern analysis, 237 and 729. In the former context, the number 237 may refer to the number of occurrences of a particular letter in the Muqatta'at or related patterns, while 729-93 may be related to Basmala repetition or numerical symmetry. However, the document does not provide exact details, so this remains speculative. Basmala and number 19. Basmala has 19 letters, and in even and odd 7 and 19, the number 19 is the key to numerology. For example, 114 surahs equal sign 6x19. Muqatta'at may complement this pattern with 29 surahs, other prime numbers. Symmetry with Muqatta'at. Basmala as a universal introduction contrasts with Muqatta'at as a special introduction to the 29 surahs, creating a structural balance. Case study. Surah Al-Ankabut and Basmala Surah Al-Ankabut 29:1 begins with Alif Lam Mim, followed by Basmala in the standard recitation. In the earlier context, Surah Al-Ankabut is associated with a spider's web, 29:41, which may symbolize the structural connection of Muqatta'at and Basmala. Verse 29:2 reads, "Do people think that they will be left alone by saying, 'We have believed,' without being tested?" Alif Lam Mim and Basmala together may signify a test of faith, with Basmala as a reminder of Allah's mercy. Unique scenarios, Muqatta'at and Basmala as structural nets. Imagine Muqatta'at as a knot and Basmala as a thread that connects the spiderweb of the Quran. In Surah Al-Ankabut, Alif Lam Mim is the knot that binds the theme of the test of faith, while Basmala is the thread of grace that runs through all the surahs. This scenario depicts Muqatta'at and Basmala as complementary elements that form the unity structure of the Quran. 2.6 Symmetry and the Araf Wall. In the previous context, Surah Al-Araf 7, with Alif Lam Mim Sad, is associated with the wall of Araf that separates the 29 surahs of Muqatta'at. Surah Al-Araf speaks of Araf 7:46, a barrier between heaven and hell. Sad may symbolize purity or separation, in harmony with the theme of the surah. Symmetry analysis. Surah 2:3-32, Alif Lam Mim. These three surahs with Alif Lam Mim may reflect thematic symmetry, guidance, oneness of Allah, revelation. In even and odd 7 and 19, the odd-even symmetry of the Quran, 60 even surahs, 54 odd, may be reinforced by the Muqatta'at as a symmetrical subset. The wall of Araf, Surah Al-Araf 7, is in the middle of the order of Muqatta'at, separating the initial surahs, 2-3, from the final surahs, 29, 32, 36, etc. Sad as the fourth letter may signify a structural separation. Pattern 237. Although not described in the document, 237 may refer to the number of letters or patterns related to Muqatta'at in a subset of surahs. Case study Surah Al-Araf and Sad Surah Al-Araf 7:1-2 begins with Alif Lam Mim Sad, followed by, "The book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it." In the Sufi tradition, Sad symbolizes purity, and the verse about Araf 7:46 reads, "And between them there is a veil, and above the Araf are those who know each one by his signs." Does Sad signify the structural veil that separates Muqatta'at thematically or numerically? Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a spiritual wall. Imagine Alif Lam Mim Sad in Surah Al-Araf as a spiritual wall, separating worldly knowledge from divine truth. Sad is the guardian of this wall, reminding the reader of the separation between faith and paganism. This scenario invites us to see Muqatta'at as a marker of spiritual boundaries in the structure of the Quran. 2.7 Sam Geren's approach. Sam Geren's In the Mysterious Letters of the Quran, A Complete Solution, proposes that Muqatta'at deals with the context and theme of the surah, not just symbols or numerical codes. This approach emphasizes textual analysis free from traditional interpretation. Text analysis, Alif Lam Mim, Surah 2. With regard to the theme of guidance, because verse 2 mentions guidance for the righteous. Yasin, Surah 36, probably signifies wisdom and resurrection, because verse 36 mentions by the Quran full of wisdom. Taha, Surah 20, probably related to prophethood, as this surah tells the story of the prophet Moses. Case study, Surah Yasin 36:1-2 begins with Yasin, followed by the Quran full of wisdom. Gerens might argue that Yasin is a symbolic call to the Prophet Muhammad, with Ya as an invocation and Sin representing wisdom. This surah focuses on the resurrection and signs of Allah, supporting Gerens' thematic hypothesis. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a divine call. Think of Yasin as a direct call from Allah to the Prophet Muhammad, like a teacher calling his disciple before delivering an important lesson. When you read Yasin, it is like hearing a divine whisper that invites you to meditate on the wisdom of the Quran. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as a bridge between man and revelation. 2.8 Significance in the Quranic framework. Muqatta'at is an integral part of the Quranic framework, connecting texts with mathematical, thematic and cosmic patterns as described in 114 amazing numbers and even an odd 7 and 19. Relationship with the structure of the Quran, a unit of encryption. In 114 amazing numbers, the surah is described as a unit of encryption, with Muqatta'at as the initial key, similar to Al-Fatiha as the key. Odd-even symmetry. In even and odd 7 and 19, the symmetry of 60, even and 54 odd surahs is reinforced by Muqatta'at as a subset of the 29 surahs, which may reflect divine balance. Patterns 7 and 19, the numbers 7, Hawamim, and 19, Basmala, 114 surahs, =6x19, show that Muqatta'at is integrated with the numerology system of the Quran. Case study Surah Al-Baqarah and symmetry Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1 with Alif Lam Mim is the first Madaniya surah with Muqatta'at. In the earlier context, Surah 2, 3 and 32, Alif Lam Mim, are associated with symmetry and the number 7, sad in Surah 7 as a wall. Verse 2 reads, "This is the book of which there is no doubt a guide for the righteous." Alif Lam Mim may signify clues as the main theme with numerical symmetry. Alphabet value 71, reinforcing the structure. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a cosmic map. Think of Muqatta'at as a star map that guides you through the galaxy of the Quran. Alif Lam Mim in Surah Al-Baqarah is the North Star, indicating the direction of direction, while Sa'd in Surah Al-Araf is the nebula that separates the spiritual realm. This scenario describes Muqatta'at as a cosmic guide in the structure of the Quran. 2.9. Chapter conclusion. This chapter has explained the structure of the Muqatta'at with maximum clarity, highlighting the variations in combinations, distributions, numerical patterns, and relationships with the Basmala and the framework of the Quran. Through unique scenarios such as divine codes, cosmic symbols, and spider webs, as well as case studies such as Surah Maryam, Al-Araf, and the Hawamim group, we have seen Muqatta'at as a multifaceted element, mathematical, thematic, and spiritual. The integration of insights from Appendix B, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, even and odd 7 and 19, and Sam Geren's approach affirms that Muqatta'at is evidence of the wonders of the Quran, inviting tadabbur and admiration for divine design. Chapter 3. Historical and traditional interpretation of Muqatta'at. The separate letters that adorn the beginning of the 29 surahs in the Quran have captivated the attention of Muslims since the first revelation was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad PBUH. Imagine that you are a companion of the Prophet, hearing Alif Lam Mim, LM, for the first time in Mecca. Familiar but mysterious letters, as if to hold divine secrets known only to Allah. For more than 14 centuries, scholars and mystics have sought to understand the meaning of Muqatta'at through a variety of approaches, from textual interpretation to spiritual reflection. This chapter delves into historical and traditional interpretations of Muqatta'at, exploring the views of companions, tabi'in, classical scholars, and Sufi traditions. With unique scenarios, case studies, verse examples, and detailed explanations, this chapter aims to provide maximum clarity, integrating insights from documents such as Appendix B, The Miracle of Muqatta'at Numerology, 114 Amazing Numbers, What is Muqatta, Even and Odd 7 and 19, and Sam Geren's textual approach. 3.1 Historical background. Muqatta'at emerged in the context of a 7th century Arab society that highly valued the fluency of language and poetry. When the Quran was revealed, these letters immediately attracted attention because of their unusual nature. They were not words, but rather separate letters that had no direct meaning in everyday Arabic. The Prophet's companions, who were direct witnesses of the revelation, had mixed reactions to Muqatta'at, ranging from admiration to speculation about its meaning. Initial reaction. According to history, companions such as Ibn Mas'ud referred to Muqatta'at as the beauty of the Quran, emphasizing its aesthetic and spiritual value. Ibn Abbas, known as the translator of the Quran, speculated that these letters may have abbreviated for the nature or name of Allah, such as Alif Lam Mim as Allah, Latif Majid. However, this approach is not universal. Some companions, such as Abu Bakr, reportedly avoided definitive interpretation, considering Muqatta'at to be mutashabihat, a verse whose meaning is known only to Allah. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at in Mecca. Imagine that you are an Arab poet in Mecca, accustomed to poems that amaze listeners. When you hear Kaf in Surah Kaf 51, followed by "For the sake of the glorious Quran," you're stunned. These simple letters, part of your own alphabet, are arranged in a way that you cannot imitate. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as a divine challenge to Arabic fluency, as stated in Surah Al-Isra 1788. If man and jinn come together to make something similar to this Quran, they will not be able to make anything similar to it. Example: sentences. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2. Alif Lam Mim. This is the book in which there is no doubt a guide for the righteous. Surah Kaf 51:2. Kaf, by the glorious Quran. They were astonished that a warner had come from among themselves. 3.2. Interpretation of companions and tabi'in. The companions and the generation of tabi'in, followers of the companions, provided the initial foundation for understanding Muqatta'at. While there is no consensus, their views reflect a diversity of approaches, from the literal to the symbolic. Ibn Abbas's views. Ibn Abbas, a prominent companion, is associated with the interpretation that Muqatta'at is an abbreviation of the nature of Allah, e.g., Alif Lam Mim, Allah Latif Majid, Allah Most Merciful, Most Glorious. Kaf Ha Ya Ain Saad, Surah Maryam. Each letter represents qualities such as knowledge, ain, or purity, sad. This approach, although speculative, shows an early attempt to connect Muqatta'at with Islamic theology. Ibn Mas'ud's views. Ibn Mas'ud is more cautious, emphasizing that Muqatta'at is a part of the beauty of the Quran that does not need to be definitively elaborated. He is reported to have said, "Let Muqatta'at be as it is, they are the secrets of God." This approach is in line with Surah Ali Imran 3:7, which distinguishes between muhkamat, clear, and mutashabihat, ambiguous verses. Case study: Surah Taha and Tabi'in Surah Taha 21 begins with Taha, which some Tabi'in such as Mujahid consider to be a call to the Prophet Muhammad, similar to Yasin in Surah Yasin. The next verse, 22, reads, "We did not send down the Quran to you so that you would be troubled." This interpretation connects Taha with the themes of prophethood and God's compassion, reflecting an early contextual approach. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as a personal call. Imagine that you are the Prophet Muhammad, PBH, receiving the revelation of Taha in the cave of Hira. These letters feel like a gentle greeting from God, preparing your heart for the next message of patience and prophethood. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as an intimate communication between Allah and His Messenger, inviting the Ummah to reflect on their relationship with revelation. Example: sentences. Surah Taha 21:3. Taha. We have not sent down the Quran to you so that you may be troubled, but as a warning to those who fear Allah. Surah Yasin 36:1-3. Yasin. By the wisdom of the Quran, you are indeed one of the messengers. 3.3. Interpretation of classical scholars. Classical scholars such as Al-Tabari, Al-Zamakhshari, and Ibn Kathir provide a more systematic, constructive interpretation on the views of the companions and tabi'in. They offer three main approaches: linguistic challenges, theological symbolism, and divine secrets. Al-Tabari, linguistic challenges in Jami al-Bayan. Al-Tabari argues that Muqatta'at is a challenge to the Arabs to match the wonders of the Quran. These letters, as a basic element of the Arabic language, show that even with the same raw materials, man cannot create something like the Quran. For example, Alif Lam Mim in Surah Al-Baqarah challenges Arab poets to produce comparable texts, as stated in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:23. If you doubt what we have revealed to our servants, then make a surah comparable to it. Al-Zamakhshari, theological symbolism. Al-Zamakhshari in Al-Kashaf proposes that Muqatta'at may refer to the name or nature of Allah. He attributes the Hamim in the Hawamim group, Surah 40:46, to the nature of Allah's mercy and wisdom. For these surahs often begin with verses such as Hamim. The revelation of this book is from Allah the Mighty, the All-Knowing. Surah Ghafir 41:2. Ibn Kathir, the Divine Secret. Ibn Kathir, in his Tafsir al-Quran al-Azim, takes a conservative approach, stating that the meaning of Muqatta'at is the secret of Allah that is not fully understood by humans. He emphasizes the importance of accepting Muqatta'at as part of revelation without speculating excessively, referring to Surah Ali Imran 3:7. Case study: Surah Al-Araf and Al-Tabari Surah Al-Araf 7:1-2 begins with Alif Lam Mim Sad. Al-Tabari interprets these letters as a challenge to the Arabs, with Sad perhaps signifying the sanctity of the Quran. The next verse, 7:2, reads, "The book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it." Al-Tabari's interpretation connects Muqatta'at with the linguistic miracle of the Quran, which is reinforced by the surah theme of separation, Araf as a veil. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as a debate arena. Imagine an assembly of knowledge in 9th century Baghdad where scholars such as Al-Tabari and Al-Zamakhshari debated Alif Lam Mim Sad. Al-Tabari argues that these letters are a linguistic challenge, while Al-Zamakhshari sees them as symbols of the nature of God. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as a catalyst for intellectual discussion, encouraging Muslims to delve deeper into the Quran. Example sentences: Surah Al-Araf 7:1-2. Alif Lam Mim Sad. The book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it. Surah Ghafir 41:2. Hamim. This book has been sent down from Allah, the Almighty, the All-Knowing. 3.4 Sufi tradition and mystical interpretation. In the Sufi tradition, Muqatta'at is seen as a spiritual symbol that carries esoteric meaning. Sufis, such as Al-Ghazali, Ibn Arabi and Rumi, associate these letters with the nature of Allah, the cosmos, or the soul's journey to God. Al-Ghazali. Letters as symbols of knowledge. Al-Ghazali, in Mishkat al-Anwar, considers Muqatta'at to be a representation of divine knowledge. For example, Ain in Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad, Surah Mary, symbolizes the all-encompassing knowledge of God, in harmony with the theme of the surah about divine miracles. Ibn Arabi, the cosmology of letters. Ibn Arabi in Fusus al-Hikam connects Muqatta'at with cosmology. He sees Kaf, Surah 50, as a symbol of the mountain of Kaf, the boundary between the physical and supernatural worlds, reflecting the one truth of Allah. Alif, as the first letter, symbolizes the oneness of Allah, Tawhid. Rumi, the journey of the soul. Rumi in Masnavi describes Muqatta'at as the soul's call to return to Allah. Yasin, Surah 36, is seen as a call to the Prophet Muhammad PBUH, who also invites every reader to reflect on divine wisdom. Case study: Surah Kaf and the Sufi tradition. Surah Kaf 51 begins with Kaf, which Ibn Arabi attributed to the mountain of Kaf. The next verse, 52, reads, "They were astonished that a warner had come from among themselves." In the Sufi tradition, Kaf symbolizes the high point of spiritual quest, where the truth of revelation shakes the heart. This surah, with its focus on resurrection, supports this mystical interpretation. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as a Sufi mantra. Imagine a Sufi in 13th century Persia sitting in Decca, repeating the Kaf solemnly. Each repetition feels like climbing the mountain of Kaf, bringing the soul closer to Allah. This scenario depicts Muqatta'at as a meditation tool, connecting the reader to the spiritual dimension of the Quran. Example sentences: Surah Kaf 51:3, Kaf, by the glorious Quran. They were astonished that a warner had come from among themselves, and the disbelievers said, "This is a miraculous thing." Surah Maryam 19:1-2, Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad. This is an explanation of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zechariah. 3.5 Sam Geren's approach. Sam Geren's In the Mysterious Letters of the Quran, a complete solution, offers a modern perspective that rejects traditional dogmatic interpretations. He focuses on textual analysis, connecting Muqatta'at to the theme or context of the surah without relying on theological or numerical speculation. Geren's text analysis. Gerrans argues that Muqatta'at serves as a thematic marker, e.g. Alif Lam Mim, Surah 2, signifies guidance, as verse 2. 2 mentions guidance for the righteous. Taha, Surah 20, perhaps a call to the Prophet Muhammad, in line with the story of the Prophet Moses in this surah. Yasin, Surah 36, hints at wisdom and prophethood, as verse 36. 3 refers to the Prophet as one of the apostles. Case study, Surah Al-Baqarah and Gerrans. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2 begins with Alif Lam Mim, followed by, "This is the book in which there is no doubt, a guide for the righteous." Gerrans may have seen Alif Lam Mim as a marker of the guiding theme, with these letters serving as an introduction to the surah's narrative of law, faith, and responsibility. This approach avoids symbolic speculation and focuses on the text itself. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a narrative marker. Think of Alif Lam Mim as the opening of an epic story, like in ancient times in a fairy tale. When you read Surah Al-Baqarah, these letters prepare you for a long story about the guidance and struggle of mankind. This scenario depicts Muqatta'at as a narrative element according to Gerrans' approach. 3.6 Integration with traditional numerology. Although the Gerrans avoid numerology, classical Islamic traditions and documents such as Appendix B and even and odd 7 and 19 highlight the numerical pattern of the Muqatta'at. Some classical scholars, such as Al-Razi, consider the values of the alphabet, Alif equals sign 1, Lam equals sign 30, Mim equals sign 40, to find meaning. Numerical patterns, Alif Lam Mim, alphabetical value of 1 plus 30 plus 40 equals 71, which some scholars associate with perfection, albeit speculative. Kaf Ha Ya, Ain Saad, the total value of the alphabet, 20 plus 5 plus 10 plus 70 plus 90 equals 195, which in Appendix B results in a difference of 5 with Qaf 200, symbolizing perfection. Motif 7 and 19. In even and odd 7 and 19, the numbers 7 Hawamim surahs, and 19, 114 surahs equal sign 6x19, reflect the divine symmetry that may be associated with Muqatta'at. Case study, Surah Maryam and numerology. Surah Maryam, 19:1, with Kaf Ha Ya. Ain Saad has 5 letters, which in the numerological tradition are associated with the 5 pillars of Islam, or the 5 main characters in the surah: Zakaria, Yahya, Maryam, Isa, Ibrahim. Verse 19. 2 reads, "This is an explanation of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zachariah." This numerical pattern reinforces traditional interpretations of divine grace. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a numerical code. Think of Kaf Ha Ya, Ain Saad as a combination of numerical keys that open the arc of divine grace. Each letter is a number in the code, 25, 10, 70, 90, and its total, 195, hints at a perfection that is only revealed through tadabbur. This scenario depicts Muqatta'at as a bridge between divine texts and mathematics. 3.7 Criticism and interpretation challenges. The historical and traditional interpretation of Muqatta'at cannot be separated from criticism. Some of the challenges include lack of consensus. There is no single view among the companions, tabi'in, or classical scholars, which shows the ambivalent nature of Muqatta'at. Excessive speculation. Approaches such as the abbreviation of the nature of God or numerology are often considered speculative, especially by conservative scholars such as Ibn Kathir. Gerrans' approach. Gerrans criticizes traditional interpretations as dogmatic, calling for a more objective textual analysis which may ignore the richness of Sufi tradition or numerology. Case study, Surah Ash-Shura and criticism. Surah Ash-Shura 42:1-3 has 2 sets of Muqatta'at, Hamim and Ain Sin Kaf, which pose a challenge of interpretation. Some scholars such as Al-Zamakhshari see it as a dual symbol of mercy and justice, while Ibn Kathir rejects speculation, calling it the secret of Allah. Gerrans may relate these letters to the theme of Revelation in verse 42:3. Thus God, the mighty, the wise, reveals it to you and to those who were before you. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a mirror of confusion. Imagine a modern student of the Quran reading various commentaries on Hamim, Ain Sin Kaf. One interpretation calls it the nature of Allah, another calls it a numerical code, and Gerons connects it to the theme of the surah. This confusion is actually a mirror of the miracle of Muqatta'at. They invite reflection without giving a definitive answer. 3.8 Chapter Conclusion. This chapter has explained the historical and traditional interpretations of Muqatta'at with maximum clarity, highlighting the views of the companions, tabi'in, classical scholars, and Sufi traditions. Through unique scenarios such as challenges to Arab poets, personal calls to the Prophet, and Sufi mantras, as well as case studies such as Surah Taha, Al-Araf, and Kaf, we have seen Muqatta'at as a multifaceted element, linguistic, theological, and spiritual. The integration of insights from Appendix B, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, even and odd 7 and 19, and Sam Gerons's approach affirms that Muqatta'at is the gateway to the richness of the Quran, inviting tadabbur and admiration for divine secrets. The next chapter will explore modern theories of Muqatta'at, complementing our understanding with a contemporary perspective. Chapter 4. Modern Theory and Contemporary Approaches to Muqatta'at. The Muqatta'at, the separate letters that adorn the beginning of the 29 surahs in the Quran, continues to captivate modern scholars, researchers, and thinkers. Imagine you are a 21st century scientist exploring Alif, Lam, Mim, Lm, or Qaf Q with data analysis tools and cross-disciplinary insights, seeking to uncover the secrets that have baffled the Ummah for centuries. If traditional interpretations focus on theology and mysticism, the modern approach expands the horizons with numerology, linguistics, textual analysis, and even scientific theory. This chapter dives into modern theory and contemporary approaches to Muqatta'at, exploring how technology, mathematics, and interdisciplinary perspectives are shaping new understandings. With unique scenarios, case studies, sample verses, and detailed explanations, this chapter provides maximum clarity, integrating insights from documents such as Appendix B, the miracle of Muqatta'at numerology, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, even dash and dash, odd dash, 7 dash and dash, 19 dash, rev, dash 1.25 underscore beta comma, as well as Sam Gerons's textual approach. 4.1 Modern Numerology Approach. Numerology has become a key tool in the contemporary study of Muqatta'at, with researchers using mathematical analysis to uncover hidden patterns. Documents such as Appendix B and 114 amazing numbers highlight numerical symmetry, while even and odd 7 and 19 expand on it by focusing on the numbers 7 and 19. Major numerical patterns 29. Surah. The sum of Surah Muqatta'at is a prime number, reflecting its uniqueness, as emphasized in Appendix B. 92. Equal sign 29 symbolic symmetry. The number of surah numbers with Qaf, 42 plus 50 equals 92, is equal to the number of individual letters, 78, plus unique letters, 14. While not a mathematical equivalence, it is considered to be definite logic without mathematical limits. Appendix B. Motive number 5, O, a combination of 5 letters. Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad, Surah 19. O, the number of occurrences of Sad 3, and Qaf 2 equal sign 5. O, remaining division 92, 29, equal sign remaining 5. O, alphabetical value difference, Qaf 200. Kaf Haya Ain Sad 195, equal sign 5, Appendix B. Numbers 7 and 19. In even and odd 7 and 19, the numbers 7 Hawamim surahs, and 19, 114 surahs equal sign 6x19, indicate divine symmetry. Muqatta'at may be a subset of this numerological system. Case study, Rashad Khalifa and Code 19 Rashad Khalifa in the Quran. The Final Testament proposed that the Quran has a mathematical code based on the number 19, which is associated with Muqatta'at. He calculates the frequency of letters in Muqatta'at, for example, Alif in Surah Al-Baqarah, and claims that the number is a multiple of 19. Although controversial, this approach popularized the numerical analysis of Muqatta'at. For example, Surah Kaf 51 has the letter Kaf appearing 57 times in the text of the Surah. 57 equals 3 times 19, according to the Caliph's calculations. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a divine algorithm. Imagine that you are a modern mathematician using software to analyze Muqatta'at. You find that the number of letters of Kaf in Surah Kaf is a multiple of 19, as if the Quran stores a divine algorithm. This scenario depicts Muqatta'at as a mathematical code that challenges conventional understanding, in line with the 114 amazing numbers that call the Quran a document of the design of the universe. Example sentences. Surah Kaf 51:2, Kaf by the glorious Quran. They were astonished that a warner had come from among themselves. Surah Maryam 19:1-2, Kaf Haya Ain Saad. This is an explanation of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zechariah. 4.2 Linguistic and Structural Analysis. Modern linguistic approaches view Muqatta'at as a structural element that influences the rhythm, phonology, and meaning of the Quran. Researchers such as Hossein Modarressi and Neil Robinson analyzed Muqatta'at in the context of Arabic grammar and narrative structure. Linguistic functions, rhythm markers. Muqatta'at creates a unique rhythm that separates the opening of the surah from the main content. For example, Alif Lam Mim in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1 has a strong rhythm, followed by the declarative tone of verse 2, this is the book in which there is no doubt. Phonology. Letters such as Qaf, loud glottal sound, or Yasin, soft sound, influence the reader's auditory experience, enhancing the rhetorical effect of the Quran. Thematic markers. Muqatta'at may serve as thematic cues, as proposed by Sam Gerrans, connecting the letters to the content of the surah. Case study. Surah Yasin and phonology Surah Yasin 36:1-3 begins with Yasin, which has a long vowel sound, ya, and a soft consonant, sin, creating a calming effect. The next verse, 36:2-3, reads, by the wisdom of the Quran, you are indeed one of the messengers. Linguistic analysis shows that Yasin prepares listeners for themes of wisdom and prophethood, with phonology reflecting spiritual serenity. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a musical score. Imagine Muqatta'at as the opening note in the Symphony of the Quran. Yasin is a soft melody that flows, inviting the listener into the narrative of wisdom. This scenario describes Muqatta'at as a phonological element that enriches the experience of reading the Quran. Example sentences, Surah Yasin 36:1-3. Yasin, by the wisdom of the Quran, you are indeed one of the messengers. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2. Alif Lam Mim. This is the book in which there is no doubt a guide for the righteous. 4.3 Sam Gerrans' approach. Sam Gerrans in The Mysterious Letters of the Quran, A Complete Solution, offers a contemporary perspective that rejects traditional interpretations that are dogmatic. He connects Muqatta'at to the theme or context of the surah through textual analysis, avoiding numerical or mystical speculation. Gerrans' text analysis, Alif Lam Mim, Surah 2, signifies guidance as verse 2. 2 mentions guidance for the righteous. Taha, Surah 20. Perhaps a call to the Prophet Muhammad in line with the story of the Prophet Moses about patience and prophethood. Ha Mim, Surah 40-46. Hints at mercy and justice, as the Hawa Mim surahs often begin with verses such as Ha Mim. The revelation of this book is from Allah the Mighty, the All-Knowing, Surah Kathir 40:1-2. Case study, Surah Taha and Gerrans. Surah Taha 21:3 begins with Taha, followed, we have not sent down the Quran to you so that you may be troubled, but as a warning to those who fear Allah. Gerrans may have seen Taha as a narrative marker for the story of the Prophet Moses, which emphasized patience and perseverance in the face of trials. This approach focuses on texts without relying on external traditions. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a chapter marker. Imagine Taha as the title of a chapter in a sacred novel, hinting at the epic story of the Prophet Moses. As you read the next verses, these letters feel like an introduction that guides you into the prophetic narrative. This scenario depicts Muqatta'at as a structural element in accordance with the Gerrans' approach. Example sentences, Surah Taha 21:3. Taha, we have not sent down the Quran to you so that you may be troubled, but as a warning to those who fear Allah. Surah Kathir 41:2. Hamim, this book has been sent down from Allah the Almighty, the All-Knowing. 4.4 Scientific and cosmological theory. Some modern researchers, inspired by the 114 amazing numbers and even an odd 7 and 19, associate Muqatta'at with scientific theories, such as the structure of the universe or the mathematical principles underlying creation. Helical particle waves. In 114 amazing numbers, the Quran is described as a document of the design of the universe, with prime numbers such as 619, the value of the alphabet of the creed, regulating the interaction of light rays. Muqatta'at may serve as an initial code reflecting cosmic structure, as proposed in the theory of helical particle waves. For example, motif number 5, Appendix B, could be associated with pentagonal symmetry in molecular structure or cosmology. Case study, Surah Ash-Shura and Cosmology. Surah Ash-Shura 42.1.3 has two sets of Muqatta'at, Hamim and Ain Sin Kaf, followed, thus Allah, the Mighty and the Wise, reveals to you and to those before you. In the context of cosmology, the combination of these 5 letters, the total value of the alphabet 235, may reflect the principle of symmetry, such as the 5 dimensions in string theory. Although speculative, this approach shows how Muqatta'at inspires interdisciplinary thinking. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a cosmic map. Imagine Hamim Ain Sin Kaf as a coordinate in a cosmic map, showing the relationship between revelation and the structure of the universe. When you read Surah Ash-Shura, these letters feel like clues to the laws of physics that underlie creation. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as a bridge between theology and science. Example sentences, Surah Ash-Shura 42.1.3, Hamim Ain Sin Kaf, thus is Allah, the Mighty, the Wise, revealing to you and to those before you. Surah Al-Araf 7.1.2, Alif Lam Mim Sad, the book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it. 4.5 Technology-based analysis. Technological advancements, such as text analysis software and Quranic databases, have enabled researchers to catalogue and analyse Muqatta'at with high precision. Muqatta'at's documents suggest a systematic approach to cataloguing letters and surahs, which are now reinforced by digital tools. Technology applications, digital cataloguing, databases such as Quran.com allow researchers to calculate the frequency of the letters of Muqatta'at in the text of the Quran, such as the number of Alif or Mim in a particular surah. Statistical analysis software such as Python or R is used to identify numerical patterns such as multiples of 19 or symmetry of 92 equals sign 29, Appendix B. Natural language processing, NLP. NLP techniques can analyze the relationship between the Muqatta'at and the next verse, supporting Geron's thematic hypothesis. Case study, Surah Al-Ankabut and digital analysis. Surah Al-Ankabut 29.1.2 begins with Alif Lam Mim, followed by, do people think that they will be left alone by saying, we have believed, without being tested? With digital tools, researchers can calculate the frequency of the word faith or test in this surah, linking it to Alif Lam Mim as a thematic marker of the test of faith. This analysis supports the earlier context that referred to Surah Al-Ankabut as a spider's web, connecting Muqatta'at and Basmala. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at in the digital age. Imagine that you are an AI researcher using an algorithm to analyze Alif Lam Mim in Surah Al-Ankabut. Your screen shows a pattern of word frequencies that connect these letters to the theme of the test of faith, as if the Quran were a divine database. This scenario illustrates Muqatta'at as the subject of modern technological research. Example sentences, Surah Al-Ankabut 29.1.2, Alif Lam Mim. Do people think that they will be left alone by saying, we have believed without being tested? Surah Fussilat 41.1.2, Hamim, the book that was sent down from God, the most merciful and the most merciful. 4.6 Integration with Basmala. Earlier documents mention the pattern of Muqatta'at 237 and Basmala 729, although it is not explicitly explained. The modern approach expands this relationship by analyzing Basmala Bismillahirrahmanirrahim as a structural complement to Muqatta'at. Pattern analysis, Basmala and number 19. Basmala has 19 letters, and in even and odd 7 and 19, the number 19 is the numerological key. The Muqatta'at, 29 surahs, may complement this pattern as a symmetrical subset. 237 and 729. The number 237 may refer to the number of occurrences of certain letters in the Muqatta'at, while 729, 93, may be related to basmala repetition or numerical symmetry. Digital analysis is required to verify this hypothesis. Structural balance. Basmala, as a universal introduction, 113 surahs, contrasts with Muqatta'at as a special introduction, 29 surahs, creating structural harmony. Case study. Surah Al-Baqarah and Basmala Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1 begins with Alif Lam Mim, followed by Basmala in the standard reading. In 114 amazing numbers, Basmala, alphabet value 786, is associated with cosmic symmetry. Modern analysis might link Alif Lam Mim, alphabet value 71, and Basmala as the double key that opens the theme of surah instruction, in harmony with verse 2. 2. This is the book in which there is no doubt, a guide for the righteous. Unique scenario. Muqatta'at and Basmala as double keys. Imagine Muqatta'at and Basmala as two keys to opening the divine vault. Alif Lam Mim is the first key, opening the door of guidance, while Basmala is the second key, entering the mercy of Allah. This scenario illustrates the symbiotic relationship between Muqatta'at and Basmala in the structure of the Quran. 4.7 Criticisms and challenges. The modern approach to Muqatta'at faces several challenges. Numerological controversy. Theories such as Rashad Khalifa's Code of 19 have been criticized for data selectivity and deviations from traditional interpretations. Scientific speculation. The relationship of Muqatta'at to cosmological theory is often considered speculative, especially in the absence of empirical evidence. Geron's approach. Although objective, Geron's approach may ignore the richness of numerology or Sufi traditions, limiting the scope of the analysis. Case study. Surah Al-Araf and criticism. Surah Al-Araf 7:1-2 with Alif Lam Mim Sad is associated with the Wall of Araf in the previous context. The numerical approach, Appendix B, sees Sad as a marker of symmetry, while Geron's relates it to the theme of separation, Araf as a veil, 746. Criticism of the numerical approach is the lack of consensus, while the Geron's approach may be too textual, ignoring mathematical patterns. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at the crossroads. Imagine a modern academic conference where a numerologist, a linguist, and Sam Gerons debate Alif Lam Mim Sad. Numerologists show a pattern of 92 equals sign 29, linguists analyze phonology, and Gerons focus on the theme of separation. This intersection describes Muqatta'at as an interdisciplinary subject that challenges the boundaries of knowledge. 4.8 Chapter Conclusion. This chapter has explained modern theory and contemporary approaches to Muqatta'at with maximum clarity, highlighting numerology, linguistic analysis, Geron's textual approaches, scientific theories, and the application of technology. Through unique scenarios such as divine algorithms, musical scores, and cosmic maps, as well as case studies such as Surah Kaf, Yasin, and Al-Ankabut, we have seen Muqatta'at as a multifaceted element that invites cross-disciplinary exploration. The integration of insights from Appendix B, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, even and odd 7 and 19, and Geron's approach affirms that Muqatta'at is a bridge between tradition and modernity, inspiring tadabbur and admiration for the wonders of the Quran. The next chapter will discuss the spiritual and practical implications of Muqatta'at, inviting readers to reflect on its wisdom in daily life. Chapter 5: Spiritual and Practical Implications of Muqatta'at. The separate letters that adorn the beginning of the Quran's 29 surahs are not just intellectual puzzles or mathematical codes, they are profound spiritual invitations. Imagine that you are reading Alif Lam Mim, LM, in the middle of a quiet night, and these letters feel like divine promptings calling your soul closer to Allah. This chapter explores the spiritual and practical implications of Muqatta'at, highlighting how these letters can enrich one's relationship with the Quran, deepen tadabbur, and inspire daily life. With unique scenarios, case studies, verse examples, and detailed explanations, this chapter provides maximum clarity, integrating insights from documents such as Appendix B, the miracle of Muqatta'at numerology, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, even dash and dash, odd dash, 7 dash and dash 19 dash rev dash 1.25, underscore, beta comma, and Sam Guerin's textual approach. 5.1 Spiritual meaning of Muqatta'at. Muqatta'at has a strong spiritual appeal, inviting the reader to reflect on the divine mysteries and majesty of the Quran. In the Islamic tradition, they are often seen as a reminder that not all aspects of revelation can be fully understood by the human mind, as stated in Surah Ali Imran 3:7, on the verses of Mutashabihat, symbol of humility. Muqatta'at teaches humility by showing the limits of human knowledge. Although scholars and researchers have analyzed it for centuries, the exact meaning of Muqatta'at remains a secret of Allah. This reminds Muslims to approach the Quran with awe and submission, call to tadabbur. These letters encourage tadabbur, deep contemplation, as commanded in Surah Sad 38:29. The book which we have sent down to you is full of blessings, so that they may meditate on its verses. Muqatta'at is an entrance to meditate on the linguistic, mathematical and spiritual wonders of the Quran. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as spiritual light. Imagine that you are sitting in night prayer reciting Yasin, Surah 36:1. These letters feel like a ray of light that illuminates your heart, inviting you to reflect on the wisdom of the Quran. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as a trigger for a profound spiritual experience. Example sentences, Surah Yasin 36:1-3. Yasin, by the wisdom of the Quran, you are indeed one of the messengers. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2. Alif Lam Mim, this is the book in which there is no doubt a guide for the righteous. 5.2 Muqatta'at in worship and zikr. Practically, Muqatta'at can be integrated into worship and dhikr, enriching a Muslim's spiritual relationship with the Quran. Sufi tradition and contemporary practice suggest that these letters can be used as a focus of meditation or a reminder of God's presence. Readings in prayer. Muqatta'at appears in surahs that are often recited in prayer, such as Surah Al-Baqarah, Yasin or Kaf. Reading these letters with awareness can increase solemnity, reminding the congregation of the uniqueness of divine revelation, remembrance and meditation. In the Sufi tradition, Muqatta'at, such as Kaf or Yasin, is sometimes said as part of dhikr, considered to bring spiritual blessings. For example, repeating Yasin with the intention of drawing closer to Allah can create a sense of calm and spiritual connection. Case study. Surah Kaf in Dhikr. Surah Kaf 51 begins with Kaf, followed by the glorious Quran. In Sufi practice, Kaf may be said as dhikr to reflect on the truth of the hereafter, the main theme of this surah. Verse 16 states, "And we are nearer to him than the sinew of his neck." Repeating Kaf can remind a Muslim of the closeness of Allah, deepening the experience of dhikr. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a heart mantra. Imagine a modern Muslim sitting in a mosque after the Fajr prayer, repeating Kaf in his heart while meditating on the verses of Surah Kaf. Each repetition feels like knocking on the door of closeness to Allah. This scenario illustrates Muqatta'at as a practical tool for dhikr and spiritual reflection. Example sentences, Surah Kaf 51:2. Kaf, by the glorious Quran, they were astonished that a warner had come from among themselves. Surah Taha 20:1-3. Taha, we have not sent down the Quran to you so that you may be troubled, but as a warning to those who fear Allah. 5.3 Muqatta'at as an inspiration for daily life outside of worship. Muqatta'at can inspire practical values such as perseverance, humility, and the search for truth, which are relevant in daily life. Perseverance in seeking knowledge. The mystery of Muqatta'at encourages Muslims to continue learning and seeking knowledge, as instructed in Surah Al-Mujadila 58:11. Allah will raise the level of the believers among you and those who are given knowledge. The effort to understand Muqatta'at reflects a dedication to deepening the Quran. Humility in the face of uncertainty. The ambiguity of the meaning of Muqatta'at teaches that not all questions have definite answers. This is relevant in modern life, where individuals often face uncertainty, reminding them to surrender to God's will. Case study: Surah Al-Ankabut and the Test of Faith. Surah Al-Ankabut 29, 1-2 begins with Alif Lam Mim, followed by, "Do people think that they will be left alone by saying, 'We have believed,' without being tested?" In the previous context, this surah was associated with a cobweb, symbolizing the fragility of untested beliefs. Alif Lam Mim can inspire perseverance in the face of life's trials, reminding us that true faith requires fortitude. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as a living compass. Imagine a young professional facing a career dilemma, reading Alif Lam Mim in Surah Al-Ankabut. These letters remind him to remain steadfast like a fragile but test-resistant spiderweb. This scenario illustrates Muqatta'at as a source of practical inspiration in facing life's challenges. Example sentences: Surah Al-Ankabut 29:1-2, Alif Lam Mim. Do people think that they will be left alone by saying, "We have believed," without being tested? Surah Al-Araf 7:1-2, Alif Lam Mim Sad. The book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it. 5.4 Integration with numerology and structured documents such as Appendix B and even and odd 7 and 19 highlight the numerical pattern of Muqatta'at, which can reinforce its spiritual implications. Numbers like 7, 19 and 5 not only show mathematical wonder, but also carry symbolic meaning, numerical symbolism. Number 7. The 7 surahs of Hawamim, Surah 44-6, with Hamim, symbolize perfection, like the 7 heavens or the 7 verses of Al-Fatiha. This reminds Muslims of the harmony of Allah's creation. Number 19. In even and odd 7 and 19, 114 surahs = 6x19, symbolizes divine truth, in harmony with Basmala, 19 letters. Muqatta'at, as a subset of the 29 surahs, reinforces this symmetry. Number 5. Motif number 5, Appendix B, as in Kaf Haya Ain Sad, Surah 19, symbolizes grace and perfection, reminiscent of the 5 pillars of Islam. Case study: Surah Maryam and Divine Grace. Surah Maryam 19:1-2 begins with Kaf Haya Ain Sad, which has 5 letters associated with the 5 main figures: Zachariah, Yahya, Maryam, Isa, Abraham, and motif number 5, Appendix B. Verse 19:2 reads, "This is an explanation of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zachariah." Spiritually, these letters can inspire hope for Allah's grace, reminding Muslims to pray with confidence. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as a window of grace. Imagine a mother praying for her child, reciting Kaf Haya Ain Sad in Surah Maryam. These 5 letters felt like a window that opened divine grace, strengthening his faith like Zachariah praying for posterity. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as a source of spiritual consolation. Example sentences: Surah Maryam 19:1-2, Kaf Haya Ain Sad. This is an explanation of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zachariah. Surah Kathir 41:2, Hamim. This book has been sent down from Allah, the Almighty, the All-Knowing. 5.5 Sam Gerrans. Approach and practical relevance. Sam Gerrans in the mysterious letters of the Quran. A complete solution connects Muqatta'at to the theme of surah, offering a practical approach that is relevant to modern life. With a focus on textual analysis, Gerrans helps the reader see the Muqatta'at as a narrative marker that guides reflection. Practical application of Gerrans, Alif Lam Mim, Surah 2, directs the reader to the theme of instruction, encouraging them to seek the truth in daily life. Taha, Surah 20. Inspiring patience, like the story of the Prophet Moses, is relevant for those facing difficulties. Yasin, Surah 36, invites reflection on wisdom and resurrection, helping individuals prepare for the hereafter. Case study: Surah Taha and Patience. Surah Taha 21:3 begins with Taha, followed, "We have not sent down the Quran to you so that you may be troubled, but as a warning to those who fear Allah." Gerrans may see Taha as a reminder to remain patient in exams, relevant for anyone facing life's pressures. Practically, these letters can motivate a person to persevere in the faith. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as a daily reminder. Imagine a student stressed about an exam reading Taha in Surah Taha. These letters reminded him of the patience of the prophet Moses, encouraging him to stay focused and believe in God's plan. This scenario illustrates Muqatta'at as a practical tool to overcome everyday challenges. Example sentences. Surah Taha 21:3. Taha, we have not sent down the Quran to you so that you may be troubled, but as a warning to those who fear Allah. Surah Yasin 36:1-3. Yasin, by the wisdom of the Quran, you are indeed one of the messengers. 5.6 Relationship with Basmala Muqatta'at and Basmala Bismillahirrahmanirrahim complement each other in the structure of the Quran, as highlighted in Appendix B and the previous context. Spiritually, this combination strengthens the reader's connection to God's grace and majesty. Spiritual harmony. Basmala as grace. With 19 letters and an alphabet value of 786, Basmala begins the 113 surahs, reminding us of Allah's mercy. In even and odd 7 and 19, the number 19 symbolizes divine truth. Muqatta'at as a mystery. With 29 surahs and 78 individual letters, Muqatta'at invites admiration for divine secrets. Together, they create a balance between accessibility, Basmala, and mystery, Muqatta'at. Case study. Surah Al-Baqarah and balanced Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1 begins with Alif Lam Mim, followed by Basmala in the standard reading. Verse 2 reads, "This is the book of which there is no doubt, a guide for the righteous." Spiritually, Basmala opens the door to grace, while Alif Lam Mim invites tadabbur on guidance, creating a holistic experience for the reader. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at and Basmala as two wings. Imagine Muqatta'at and Basmala as two wings of a spiritual bird. Basmala lifts you up with grace, while Alif Lam Mim takes you on an exploration of divine mysteries. This scenario depicts a spiritual harmony that enriches the relationship with the Quran. 5.7 Challenges and opportunities. Integrating Muqatta'at into spiritual and practical life is not free from challenges, but also opens up great opportunities. Challenge. The mystery of Muqatta'at can be confusing for lay readers, and numerical, Appendix B, or textual, gerunds approaches may feel too complex. Opportunity. Muqatta'at offers a unique way to get closer to the Quran, whether through dhikr, tadabbur, or practical inspiration, making revelation relevant in the modern context. Case study. Surah Ash-Shura and Hope Surah Ash-Shura 42:1-3 with Ha-Mim. Ain Sin Kaf inspires hope through the verse, "Thus Allah, the Mighty and the Wise, reveals to you." These letters can serve as a reminder of God's wisdom, helping a person to face despair with confidence. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a lantern of hope. Imagine a humanitarian volunteer, tired in the midst of a crisis, reading Ha-Mim Ain Sin Kaf. These letters become lanterns, illuminating its path with divine hope and wisdom. This scenario shows the potential of Muqatta'at to inspire resilience. 5.8 Chapter Conclusion. This chapter has explained the spiritual and practical implications of Muqatta'at with maximum clarity, highlighting their role in tadabbur, worship, dhikr, and daily life. Through unique scenarios such as spiritual light, the compass of life, and the window of grace, as well as case studies such as Surah Kaf, Al-Ankabut, and Maryam, we have seen Muqatta'at as a bridge between divine mystery and practical life. The integration of insights from Appendix B, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, even and odd 7 and 19, and Sam Geren's approach affirms that Muqatta'at is an invitation to draw closer to Allah, inspiring admiration, perseverance, and grace. This chapter closes our exploration, leaving the reader with the urge to contemplate Muqatta'at as an enduring jewel in the wonders of the Quran. Chapter 6. Synthesis and future direction of Muqatta'at studies. The Muqatta'at, the separate letters that adorn the beginning of the Quran's 29 surahs, is a multifaceted gem that has captivated hearts and minds for more than 14 centuries. Imagine you are a time traveler standing at the crossroads between 7th century Mecca and the digital world of the 21st century, holding Alif Lam Mim, LM, as the key connecting the past, present and future. This chapter synthesizes insights from Chapter 2, Structure, Chapter 3, Historical and Traditional Interpretation, Chapter 4, Modern Theory, and Chapter 5, Spiritual and Practical Implications, offering a holistic view of Muqatta'at while formulating future directions for research and reflection. With unique scenarios, case studies, verse examples, and detailed explanations, this chapter provides maximum clarity, integrating insights from documents such as Appendix B, The Miracle of Muqatta'at Numerology, 114 Amazing Numbers. What is Muqatta, even and odd 7 and 19 Rev 1? 25_beta and Sam Gerrans' textual approach. 6.1 Synthesis of insights from previous chapters. Muqatta'at is an element of the Quran that bridges the various dimensions of understanding: structural, historical, modern, and spiritual. Here is a synthesis of the previous chapters. Structure, Chapter 2. Chapter 2 explains that Muqatta'at consists of 14 unique letters that make up 14 combinations appearing in 29 surahs with a total of 78 individual letters. Patterns such as motif number 5, symmetry 92, equal sign 29, Appendix B, and Hawamim clusters, 7 surahs, indicate deliberate mathematical and thematic design. Muqatta'at serves as a narrative marker like Alif Lam Mim, who begins the theme of guidance in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2. Historical and Traditional Interpretations, Chapter 3. Chapter 3 highlights the diversity of views, from companions such as Ibn Abbas, who saw Muqatta'at as an abbreviation of the nature of Allah, to classical scholars such as Al-Tabari, who viewed it as a linguistic challenge. Sufi traditions such as Ibn Arabi's view of Kaf as a symbol of the mountain of Kaf add a mystical dimension. This disagreement reflects the nature of Muqatta'at as mutashabihat, inviting humility. Modern Theory, Chapter 4. Chapter 4 explores contemporary approaches such as Rashad Khalifa's numerology, Code 19, linguistic analysis, Yasin phonology, and cosmological theory, 114 Amazing Numbers. Sam Gerrans' textual approach connects Muqatta'at with the theme of the surah, such as Taha, with patience in Surah Taha, 21:3. Technology, such as digital analytics, amplifies pattern discovery, although challenges such as speculation remain. Spiritual and Practical Implications, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 emphasizes Muqatta'at as a tool of tadabbur, dhikr, and practical inspiration. These letters, such as Kaf Ha-Ya Ain Sad in Surah Maryam 19:1, invite reflection on God's mercy and perseverance in trials, as seen in Surah Al-Ankabut 29:1-2. Harmony with Basmala enriches the spiritual experience, making Muqatta'at relevant in modern life. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as a divine mirror. Think of Muqatta'at as a mirror that reflects the various faces of the Quran: mathematical structure, historical wisdom, modern innovation, and spiritual light. When you look at Alif Lam Mim, you see a reflection of guidance, mystery, and grace, all in one letter. This scenario depicts Muqatta'at as the meeting point of all the dimensions of the Quran. Example sentences: Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2. Alif Lam Mim. This is the book in which there is no doubt a guide for the righteous. Surah Maryam 19:1-2. Kaf Ha-Ya Ain Sad. This is an explanation of the mercy of your Lord to his servant Zechariah. 6.2 Harmony between tradition and modernity. Muqatta'at demonstrates the unique ability of the Quran to unite tradition and modernity. Historical traditions provide theological and mystical richness, while modern approaches offer mathematical precision and interdisciplinary analysis. This harmony is seen in numerology and Sufism. Motif number 5, Appendix B, is in line with the Sufi symbolism of grace, as in Kaf Ha-Ya Ain Sad, which is associated with the 5 figures of Surah Maryam. Textual and technological. Gerrans' approach that focuses on the theme of the surah is reinforced by digital analysis, what is Muqatta, which catalogues the frequency of letters to support a thematic hypothesis. Spiritual and practical. Muqatta'at as a tool of dhikr, Chapter 5, gets depth from numerical patterns such as the number 7, which symbolizes perfection. Case study: Surah Ash-Shura and Harmony. Surah Ash-Shura. 42:1-3 with Hamim, Ain Sin Kaf, illustrates this harmony. Traditionally, these letters are seen as symbols of grace, Sufi. Modern, they are analyzed for numerical patterns, total alphabet value 235. Practically, they inspire hope through the verse, "Thus is Allah, the mighty and the wise, revealed to you." Gerunds may relate it to the theme of revelation, while digital analysis can uncover letter frequencies that reinforce symmetry. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at as a bridge of time. Imagine a 9th century scholar and a 21st century data scientist meeting to discuss Hamim Ain Sin Kaf. Scholars see divine grace while scientists calculate numerical patterns. Together, they realize that Muqatta'at is a bridge that connects faith and knowledge. This scenario illustrates the potential of Muqatta'at to unify perspectives. Example, sentences, Surah Ash-Shura 42:1-3, Hamim Ain Sin Kaf. Thus is Allah, the mighty, the wise, revealing to you and to those before you. Surah Kathir 41:2, Hamim. This book has been sent down from Allah, the Almighty, the All-Knowing. 6.3, Future Direction of Muqatta'at Study. Muqatta'at studies have great potential for growth, driven by technological advancements, interdisciplinary collaboration, and an inclusive approach that respects tradition while embracing innovation. Here are the proposed future directions. 1. AI and big data-based analytics. Advances in artificial intelligence, AI, and natural language processing, NLP, can deepen Muqatta'at's analysis. E.g., semantic mapping. AI can analyze the relationship between Muqatta'at and surah themes, extending Gerun's approach with large-scale data. Pattern detection. The algorithm can identify new numerical patterns, such as the frequency of letters throughout the Quran, beyond code 19 or motif 5, appendix B. Visualization. The visualization tool can create an interactive map of Muqatta'at, showing the distribution, frequency, and relationship with the basmala. 2. Interdisciplinary approach. Combining theology, linguistics, mathematics, and science can yield new insights. E.g., cosmology and physics, connecting Muqatta'at with the principle of universe symmetry, as alluded to in 114 amazing numbers, the theory of helical particle waves. Psychology, examining the effects of Muqatta'at phonology, for example, the rhythm of Yasin, on spiritual or cognitive well-being. Sociology examines how Muqatta'at influences Muslim communal identity through the practice of decoding teaching. 3. Education and accessibility. Making Muqatta'at more accessible to the general public is key. This can be achieved through digital platform, an application or website that explains Muqatta'at with visualizations, verse examples, and multilingual explanations. Community education. Workshops or lectures that combine traditional and modern insights, encouraging tadabbur among non-academics. Popular literature, books or articles that simplify concepts such as motive number 5 or Gerun's approach for lay readers. 4. Intertraditional dialogue. Fostering dialogue between traditional Sufi, classical scholars, and modern numerology, textual analysis perspectives can enrich understanding. These include interdisciplinary conference, inviting scholars, scientists, and researchers to share perspectives on Muqatta'at. Inclusive approach respecting conservative views, for example, Ibn Kathir on mutashabihat, while exploring new hypotheses. Case study, Surah Al-Araf and the future, Surah Al-Araf 7:1-2 with Alif Lam Mim Sad, is associated with the Wall of Araf, chapter 2, a symbol of the separation between heaven and hell, 7:46. In the future, AI can analyze the frequency of Saad throughout the Quran to test numerical hypotheses, Appendix B, while psychologists can examine the effects of reading Alif Lam Mim Saad on emotional calm. This approach would expand the spiritual meaning of Saad as a symbol of holiness, in harmony with the Sufi tradition. Unique scenario, Muqatta'at in the digital age. Imagine the year 2050, where you open an AI-based Al-Quran app. You select Alif Lam Mim Sad in Surah Al-Araf, and the app features 3D visualizations of numerical patterns, thematic explanations of Gerun's, and Sufi meditations on Saad. This scenario depicts a future where Muqatta'at becomes an interactive gateway to the wonders of the Quran. Example: sentences. Surah Al-Araf 7:1-2. Alif Lam Mim Sad. The book has been revealed to you, so do not let there be any tightness in your chest because of it. Surah Kaf 51:2. Kaf, by the glorious Quran. They were astonished that a warner had come from among themselves. 6.4 Challenges and opportunities. Heading into the future, the study of Muqatta'at faces challenges and opportunities. Challenge: O traditional skepticism. Modern approaches such as numerology or cosmology may be rejected by conservative scholars who view Muqatta'at as mutashabihat. O technological complexity. AI-driven analytics require expertise and resources which can limit accessibility. O risk of speculation. New hypotheses must be balanced with caution to avoid deviations from the meaning of the Quran. Opportunities. O educational innovation. Technology can democratize access to knowledge about Muqatta'at, reaching a global audience. O global collaboration. The academic and religious communities can work together to create an inclusive narrative about Muqatta'at. O spiritual relevance. Muqatta'at can continue to inspire the practice of dhikr, tadabbur and resilience in the face of modern challenges. Case study: Surah Yasin and collaboration. Surah Yasin 36:1-3 with Yasin is the heart of the Quran in the Islamic tradition, inspiring dhikr and reflection on wisdom. 36:2 for the sake of the Quran full of wisdom. In the future, collaboration between linguists analyzing Yasin phonology, scholars linking it to prophethood, and technologists developing AI-based dhikr apps could enrich the spiritual and academic experience. Unique scenario: Muqatta'at as an eternal legacy. Imagine a global exhibition of the Quran Muqatta'at combining ancient manuscripts, digital simulations and dhikr sessions. Visitors from various backgrounds reflect on Yasin, realizing that these letters are the enduring legacy that unites humanity. This scenario portrays Muqatta'at as a symbol of unity and inspiration. 6.5 Chapter Conclusion. This chapter has synthesized insights from Chapter 2 to Chapter 5, offering a holistic view of Muqatta'at as a structural, historical, modern and spiritual element in the Quran. Through unique scenarios such as divine mirrors, time bridges and digital entrances, as well as case studies such as Surah Ash-Shura, Al-Araf and Yasin, we have seen Muqatta'at as a meeting point of tradition and innovation. The integration of insights from Appendix B, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, even and odd 7 and 19, and Sam Geren's approach affirms that Muqatta'at is an eternal invitation to tadabbur, discovery, and closeness to Allah. By formulating the direction of the future, AI interdisciplinary approaches, education and dialogue, this chapter closes out our exploration, leaving the reader with the urge to continue exploring Muqatta'at as a jewel that shines the way to divine truth. Epilogue. Final reflection on Muqatta'at. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast ocean, gazing at the horizon where the sky and water merge in mysterious harmony. In your hands, the Quran opens on a page that begins with Alif Lam Mim LM, letters that are like small waves flowing with divine secrets that are never fully revealed. A journey through the previous chapters, from structure, Chapter 2, historical interpretation, Chapter 3, modern theory, Chapter 4, spiritual implications, Chapter 5, to synthesis and future direction, Chapter 6, has taken us across a sea of knowledge, wonder and tadabbur. Muqatta'at. The separate letters that adorn the 29 surahs are not just elements of the text. They are a mirror of the soul, a bridge of time, and an eternal invitation to draw closer to Allah. This epilogue is the final reflection, summarizing the essence of Muqatta'at as a symbol of the miracle of the Quran. They teach us humility in the face of divine mysteries, perseverance in seeking truth and sensitivity to the grace hidden in each letter. As highlighted in Appendix B, 114 amazing numbers, what is Muqatta, and even and odd 7 and 19, Muqatta'at reflects the mathematical symmetry, the motifs of numbers 5, numbers 7 and 19, symmetry 92, equal sign 29, that affirm the divine design of the Quran. Sam Geren's textual approach reminds us that these letters, such as Yasin or Taha, are narrative markers that lead us to themes of guidance, grace, and resilience. Spiritually, Muqatta'at is a lantern that illuminates the path. When we read Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad in Surah Maryam 19:1, we are reminded of God's mercy to Zechariah, a message of hope for every searching heart. Practically, these letters inspire us to face life's trials with courage, such as Alif Lam Mim in Surah Al-Ankabut 29:1, which calls for fortitude in faith. In the modern era, technology and interdisciplinary approaches open up new horizons, making Muqatta'at relevant to the digital generation hungry for meaning. However, in the midst of all analysis, mathematical, historical, or spiritual, Muqatta'at remains the secret of Allah, as the Mutashabihat verse in Surah Ali Imran 3:7 says. They invite us to pause, reflect, and say, Allahu Alam, Allah is knowing. In their mystery we find beauty. In their uncertainty we find faith. Like the never-ending ocean, Muqatta'at will continue to call future generations to dive into the depths of the Quran, searching for hidden gems of wisdom. In closing, let us read once more, Alif Lam Mim. This is the book of which there is no doubt, a guide for the righteous. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:1-2. May Muqatta'at be a light that guides us towards truth, mercy, and closeness to the Creator. Ameen. Imagine holding an ancient book beneath a star-strewn sky. The cool night air brushes against your skin as you open the book, its pages filled with the wisdom of ages long past. The stars above twinkle like distant memories, each one a beacon of knowledge waiting to be discovered. Its pages whisper secrets of ages past. Every turn of the page reveals a new story, a new lesson, a new piece of the puzzle that is our history. The ink, though faded, still holds the power to transport you to a time when the world was young and full of wonder. As you gaze upwards, certain stars seem to beckon, forming patterns that have guided travelers for millennia. These celestial bodies, fixed in their courses, have been silent companions to those who dared to journey into the unknown. They are the original navigators, their light a constant in an ever-changing world. In the celestial tapestry, they offer direction and inspire awe. The constellations, with their mythic stories and timeless beauty, remind us of our place in the universe. They are a map not just of the heavens, but of our own inner landscapes, guiding us towards self-discovery and enlightenment. Similarly, within the sacred text of the Quran, we encounter enigmatic clusters of letters known as Muqatta'at. These letters, mysterious and profound, stand at the threshold of understanding, inviting us to delve deeper into the divine message. Like celestial guides, these letters appear at the beginning of 29 chapters. They are the stars of the Quranic sky, each one a signpost pointing the way to greater wisdom and insight. They stand as a testament to the divine origin of the Quran. Their presence is a reminder that the Quran is not just a book, but a living, breathing revelation, full of layers and depths waiting to be explored. They invite contemplation and deeper understanding. Each letter, each word, each verse is a doorway to a world of spiritual and intellectual discovery. They challenge us to think, to question, to seek out the truths that lie hidden beneath the surface. These letters, detached from any recognizable words, have intrigued scholars and believers for centuries. Their mystery is a call to the curious, a challenge to the wise, a puzzle for the devout. What secrets do they hold? What wisdom do they impart? These questions have echoed through the halls of learning and the hearts of the faithful, each generation seeking to unlock the mysteries of the Muqatta'at. Their presence at the beginning of these surahs suggests a profound significance, a gateway to unlocking deeper layers of meaning within the Quranic revelation. They are the keys to a treasure trove of divine knowledge, waiting for those who are willing to seek, to ponder, and to understand. Muqatta'at are individual letters from the Arabic alphabet, often referred to as mysterious or disjointed letters. They appear in various combinations at the start of certain surahs, serving as a unique signature or prelude to the chapters they introduce. These combinations range from a single letter like Kaf in Surah Kaf to longer sequences like Alif Lam Mim Sad, each carrying its own significance and mystery. Each combination is unique to the surah it precedes, creating a distinct and intriguing pattern that has fascinated readers for centuries. Some of the most well-known Muqatta'at include Alif Lam Mim, found in surahs like Al-Baqarah and Al-Imran, often prompting deep reflection and study. Another prominent example is Yasin, which lends its name to the 36th surah of the Quran and is frequently recited for its profound spiritual significance. Their presence has sparked countless interpretations and debates among scholars throughout Islamic history, with theories ranging from linguistic to mystical explanations. Some scholars believe these letters hold esoteric meanings, while others see them as a divine challenge to humanity, inviting deeper contemplation and understanding. Despite the myriad of interpretations, the true meaning of Muqatta'at remains one of the Quran's enduring mysteries, continuing to inspire and intrigue believers and scholars alike. Traditional Islamic scholars have approached the Muqatta'at with deep reverence and profound respect. These mysterious letters, found at the beginning of certain chapters in the Quran, have intrigued scholars for centuries. They view them as part of the divine mystery of the Quran, a sacred enigma that invites contemplation and reflection. The Muqatta'at are seen as a testament to the Quran's divine origin and its layers of meaning. Scholars like Ibn Kathir, renowned for his Quranic exegesis, suggested that the true meaning of these letters is known only to Allah. Ibn Kathir's works have been pivotal in shaping the understanding of these cryptic letters. Al-Tabari, another prominent scholar, compiled various interpretations of the Muqatta'at in his extensive Tafsir. His efforts to gather diverse perspectives highlight the rich tapestry of Islamic scholarship. These interpretations range from seeing the letters as representing the attributes of Allah to considering them as oaths taken by God. Some scholars even believe they serve as a form of divine code, a secret known only to the Creator. However, most classical scholars agree that the ultimate meaning remains within the realm of divine knowledge. This acceptance of the unknown reflects a deep humility and acknowledgement of the limits of human understanding in the face of divine wisdom. Modern approaches to understanding Muqatta'at often explore their numerical and symbolic dimensions. Some scholars point to the complex mathematical structure of the Quran, suggesting that the Muqatta'at may hold a numerical significance related to the arrangement of verses and chapters. Others delve into the symbolic meanings attributed to individual letters in the Arabic language. By analyzing these symbolic associations, they try to connect the Muqatta'at to the broader themes and messages of the surahs they introduce. Section 5. The Symphony of Letters and Themes. Examining specific Muqatta'at in relation to their respective surahs reveals intriguing connections. For instance, Surah Maryam, which narrates the story of Mary and the birth of Jesus, begins with the letters Kaf Ha Ya Liam Samdan. Sufficient for you is Allah. He is upon them, the Eternal. While these connections remain speculative, they highlight the intricate relationship between the Muqatta'at and the Quranic text. Section 6. The Enigma of Alif Lam Mim. The Muqatta'at combination Alif Lam Mim, Lem, appears in 6 different surahs, making it one of the most frequently occurring sequences. These surahs, including Al-Baqarah and Al-Imran, often deal with fundamental Islamic beliefs, laws and stories of the prophets. Some scholars propose that Alif Lam Mim points to the grand narrative of God's relationship with humanity. This narrative unfolds throughout these surahs, emphasizing themes of guidance, revelation and accountability. Section 7. The mystical resonance of Yasin. Surah Yasin, named after its opening Muqatta'at Yasin, YS, is often regarded as the heart of the Quran due to its profound spiritual and theological depth. This surah emphasizes the oneness of God, the reality of the Day of Judgment, and the importance of living a righteous life. The letters Yasin have been interpreted as a direct address from God, commanding attention and contemplation. Their repetition throughout the surah reinforces its central message of divine guidance and warning. Section 8. A journey of intellectual and spiritual exploration. While the exact meaning of the Muqatta'at remains shrouded in mystery, their presence within the Quran invites us on a journey of intellectual and spiritual exploration. They challenge us to delve deeper into the text. We should contemplate its layers of meaning. The Muqatta'at remind us that the Quran is a multifaceted revelation. It operates on multiple levels of understanding. They encourage us to engage with the text. We can explore its intricate beauty and seek a deeper connection with the divine message. Section 9. Embracing the Unknowable. The Muqatta'at stand as a testament to the inherent mystery within the Quran. They remind us that not everything is meant to be fully grasped. Some aspects of the divine revelation remain beyond human comprehension. Rather than seeking to definitively solve the enigma of the Muqatta'at, we can approach them with humility and awe. We can appreciate their ability to inspire wonder. Let them deepen our connection with the divine word. In their mystery, we find a profound invitation to contemplate the boundless wisdom and majesty of the Creator.